Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out, procrastination, putting it off, kicking the can down the road. In, plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out, carpet in the bathroom. Like, why? In, knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Rutland, Vermont, a horribly murdered and burning body is found beneath a resort ski lift, sparking a mystery that calls everything into question, including who this dead person even is. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us. We're excited. As Jimmy was so excited, that yay was like, you came in quick on it. I love it.
I'm on it.
I love the enthusiasm. Let's get into this.
Yeah.
What a show we have for you today. This is just a crazy episode.
Yeah.
One of those episodes that you're just going to want to talk about. It's just
good.
It's because I've been going nuts, burning up inside, wanting to tell you all about this. And I'm like, I got to wait till the show. No, it's so good. Before we get to that, though, very quickly, just want to say thank you for everything you do for us. First of all, go ahead and if you want to do something nice for the show, you can review us on whatever platform app you're listening to, however many stars they let you give that many stars and say something nice, and it helps the show. Yeah. You also, very importantly, if you want to help the show, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now, not only for everything about, merch and all that stuff,
what
but
else?
the virtual live show is today.
Yeah.
If you're listening the day the show comes out, it is today,
Right now.
Thursday,
Yeah.
September the 16th, 2021. And let's say you have plans tonight. You're like, oh, damn it, I got to do it. Doesn't matter. 3 days. You got 72 hours afterwards you can get it for.
Right.
At shutupandgivememurder.com, right in your living room. The case is awesome. It's a murder case, so it's not, awesome. But the story is crazy, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Lots of laughs. Come hang out. You can drink and everything, and you don't have to drive home from anywhere.
We'll
hopefully,
have a party.
We are going to have a party. Join us at this party tomorrow or tonight or whatever day in the next 3 days you want to do it. Shutupandgivememurder.com today. Do it right now. Check it out. We can't wait. Can't wait to see you or have you see us. And there's all sorts of stuff, too, where you guys can talk, and there's interactive stuff. So it's pretty cool, this new setup they have. So check all this out. Do it right now. Patreon this week, by the way, everybody, is amazing. We have a golden week of Patreon. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Good stuff here. First of all, for the Crime and Sports episode of Patreon, which you'll have access to. You have access to both shows, Patreons, the whole back catalog and everything. You're going to want to check this out. Not really much to do with sports. It is about a guy named...
Not much to do with crime.
Sports
as fuck.
Well, not really. It's kind of not really either of them. It's a guy named Barry Bremen, and he is, you could call him a master imposter. He got onto the field and on the court and on the ice at all of these major events. He even accepted a Best Supporting Actress Emmy.
It's so funny.
It's insane. This episode is crazy. Check that out. And then for the Small Town Murder episode, one that we just can't wait to do, it is the Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, who's responsible for over 100 murders in horrible, disgusting ways. We're going to talk all about his childhood and how he got to where he is. Origin story. And if you've heard the Richard Ramirez Night Stalker one, you're definitely going to want to hear this because it's crazy stuff. So good times here. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll get a shout out because we love and respect you, damn it. And we want to tell you that. So, Jimmy, to do that, we'll mispronounce your name.
You bet.
So check that out. All of that there, patreon.com/crime and sports. And if you just want to make a donation and get your shout out, you can do that as well over at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. There you go. That's a disclaimer quickly. This is a comedy show. We're comedians, so jokes will happen in addition to dead things happening as well. People will be murdered, not dead things, dead people.
Right.
People will be murdered. Not our fault. We didn't kill them. We didn't do it. We're not happy it happened.
No.
But what we're going to do is we're going to make fun of things like the murderer. We're going to make fun of like if a bumbling police force can't catch a murderer who's right in front of their face for 5 years. We'll make fun of that. Things of that nature. What we don't do, though, what we go out of our way to not do is we do not make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why?
Because we're assholes.
What?
But we're not scumbags.
There you have it.
That's how it works here. If that sounds good to you, we're going to have a good time in here. Honestly, one of the craziest stories we've ever told.
I should say.
And if not, if you think true crime and comedy should never go together, I don't know. Maybe it's not for you, but maybe it is. Maybe give it a chance and check it out because I'm telling you, I don't think it's probably what you think it is. But
not that bad.
Everybody sitting there, whoever's left, our show that we love so much, quote, it's not that bad. The marketing genius of the century, Jimmie Whisman, quote, it's not that bad. Thank you very much. That said, it's time to sit back and shout, Shut up and give me murder! We were in sync on that one. That was crazy. Let's go on a trip, Jimmie.
I'm a marketing genius.
That's why. Yes, you did it. That's pretty exciting. I'm exciting. We need to get posters. Let's go on a trip here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
We were coming from Oregon last week, so far clear on the West Coast. Let's head all the way across the country to the Northeast. We've really been zigzagging here lately. We're going to do Vermont this week. It's been a while since we've been to Vermont, so... And it never lets us down. I don't know why we spend so much time away from Vermont.
Beautiful place.
When they have such crazy murders. It's really West Virginia of the Northeast in terms of like how their murders break down. It's always like weird syrup people who live in a tree, stab each other, and then it's always something crazy. This is in South Central Vermont, which is right down to where Vermont comes to a syrupy panhandle, right there on the bottom.
Central. Snoop Dogg says it's bad there.
You know it, he knows it, covered in syrup. You got to pour some out. So it's very slow. It takes a long time to do it. Just comes out real slow. Hold on. I got a lot of homies. It should take a while. So it's about an hour and a half to Burlington, Vermont, about an hour and 50 minutes over to Albany, New York, if you go kind of the other direction, and then 2 hours and 20 minutes to Enosburg, Vermont, which we repeatedly called Penisburg because we're 12.
Because it's easy.
When the last thing was there. That was episode 181, way back on July of 2020.
Wow.
So 60 episodes ago. It's been a while. Thanks for waiting, Vermont. This is in Rutland County. The name of the town's Rutland County. Area code 802. It's about 7.5 square miles.
Good size.
And there's so many mottos and nicknames, and I'm not even going to make any up because it's just too much as it is. How many are we going to have? Yeah. I found they call themselves, first of all, Marble City.
Gross.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think maybe it's marbled nicely like a ribeye.
That's better.
You never know. Gateway to Southern Vermont.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize there was a gate.
I didn't know the Southern.
No one was really.
I didn't know it was so desirable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Are we all outside the gate? Did you got to go through here? And then finally, quote, colorful, historic, festive.
In fall.
Yeah, otherwise, there you go. So those are the three, and you can make whatever jokes you want in there because they're all as equally ridiculous. So they're all kind of just cheesy marketing slogans, like, it's not that bad. That should be their new one. Yeah. Quote, it's not that bad. History of this town, very quickly. It started as a very small hamlet called Mill Village, was the initial name. It was on Otter Creek. Yeah. This is in the early 1800s. And the governor, it was named by the governor, Benning Wentworth, here in 1761. He changed the name of it to Rutland after John Manners, the third Duke of Rutland.
Oh, my.
Which I don't know. It would be great if Manners came from him.
But we named it after where he's from, not even after him.
No, just where the third Duke of Rutland. I would love it, though, if John Manners was the origin of manners.
Mannersville.
Not because he had manners, because he was a slob.
Have some manners.
Have some manners. Mind your manners. They just made him like
some pig that never said thank
you. Yeah. She's got like a half a meatball sandwich in his beard. He's a mess.
Yeah.
So in the early 1800s, the small, high-quality marble deposits were discovered here.
Oh.
So that's why it's Marble City. And in the 1830s, a huge, large deposit of nearly solid marble was found in West Rutland.
Is that right?
So, yeah, there's been a lot. By 1840, people started to have excavations and shit.
Countertops are in demand.
Yeah, that's but to get the marble out was great. But you couldn't do anything with it until the railroad came through in 1851. Because how the hell?
Pulled out.
That's the thing.
Where are you going to put it?
Horses can pull a lot of shit, but they don't pull a lot of marble.
No.
Is the thing. Marble's
Shit's heavy.
It's pretty heavy. You kind of need a train for that.
It's a dense project.
Yeah. You can, do we have donkeys? I don't know what we use.
We need a lot more of them.
This is rough now. So, yeah, they definitely had a problem. So they had all this marble, and they were like, please, can we have a railroad to get all this shit out of here? And eventually they did, and Rutland became one of the world's top marble-producing areas anywhere. A large number of what they did is, back in the day here, they brought in a bunch of Italians from Italy that had experience in marble.
Okay.
That was the one thing, like, this country was fine with letting Italians in when they needed marble work done at first, because Italians were on that shit, the marble, forever, and over here they were just trying to figure it out, and they were like,
marble was used a lot.
Well, bring in those guys; they know what they're doing.
They've been doing it a while.
Yeah, so that's what they did there, and they brought those in, and they brought their families here. So apparently there was a pretty large Italian population here when the marble was going on. But the closing of the quarries happened in like the 1980s and 1990s.
Yeah.
That was a lot of the jobs in the area.
Oh, no.
So that hurt this area for
marble was all fucked out.
All fucked out, Jimmy, as we've discussed many times. So they have the downtown section seems to be where things are going on here. There's 108 buildings in the downtown area that are listed in the National Register of Historic Places.
Wow.
They've kept it reasonably intact.
108.
It hasn't really burned down. A lot of them date back to the mid 1800s.
Awesome.
One of the few towns that were not like 1895, a huge fire.
Obvious.
Destroyed it all. Reviews here.
As if they've never seen fire before. It all burned down.
We made it of wood, and we're right on top of each other, and we heat our We heat our places with flames and oil. Should be okay, right?
And we use fire for light.
No problem. Right. Everyone should be fine.
Hang a flame on the post. It'll be all right.
Just hang it on the wall. What are we doing here? So reviews of this town. Yep. I'll give you some medium, some excellent, and then some not so excellent here. Here's 5 stars.
Yeah.
Rutland, Vermont is amazing and beautiful.
Oh.
Beautiful and amazing. The surrounding mountains, it's all ski resort. Killington is there, so it's all ski resorts around there. But like Rutland is where the people who work at the ski resort live.
Got it.
That sort of thing. Surrounded by mountains and forests, full of animals and nature. The city is small, but people's hearts are big.
Oh,
now that's a slogan. That's a slogan. They replace all that other shit with that. That works. Here's 3 stars. Mediocre. Not so excited, but we'll talk about it. Quote, I grew up in Rutland and have been here for over 50 years. Oh. My God. There is a great sense of community, but a serious decline in businesses and job opportunities and activities, as we discussed. Not a bad place to raise your children, as it is fairly safe. Okay. So pretty safe, 50 years, not bad. Next review, 2 stars. Yeah. Okay. Quote, you could get robbed by 3 guys who are robbing each other at the same time, but not the worst. But not the worst.
3 guys robbing each other and you.
Right. But it's not the worst.
I've been to worse places.
I've never been robbed by 3 guys.
A worse place?
Who then all turned on each other and robbed each other. That's a bad place. That's bad. That's a bad neighborhood. When the robbers don't even stick together.
I've been to downtown L.A. Shit didn't happen like that. It was fine. It was ugly, but it was fine.
Back in New York in the 70s, you'd get mugged, but a couple guys would mug you, but then they wouldn't mug each other when they were done with you. That's different.
It's a lot.
The school was all right, but the people themselves aren't. Oh. Not to mention this one really stupid traffic light sitting on a hill that has a traffic light that immediately follows it. It's right next to the Catholic school, and it turns red and never turns green. That's the whole review. They're angry, literally angry at one traffic light.
That has another one 500 feet away.
How much do you want to bet that their kid went to that Catholic school, and they had to go there all the time and wait at that light, and they've had just untold incidents of road rage while children in small little uniforms stared at them in disbelief.
There's a light by my house that turns red, and there are no fucking cars needed.
Everybody has it.
It turns every goddamn time I get to that intersection. I stop for nothing. Nobody crosses. There's no car. Nothing.
And nobody cares. That's why you shouldn't put it in a review or talk about it on a podcast. No one cares about the shit light by your house.
It doesn't make me very mad.
Yeah, of course it does. It makes everybody angry. It makes you crazy. It's me.
Every time I go, fucking
why? Here's 1 star. Things get quick.
Yeah.
They decline quickly here.
All right.
1 star. No, nothing about the lights, but everything else. Rutland is by far the worst place I've ever lived.
Okay.
It's too expensive for how crappy it is. It's honest. Yeah. The people are rude. There's very little to do here. Worst of all is the amount of drug addicts all over this town. Oh. My advice would be to steer clear of Rutland. I wouldn't even come here to visit. Wow.
He says from his house.
Shit. Just arms crossed on the porch.
In his living room.
Not happy.
He owns this place, and he wouldn't come here to visit.
And every kid that walks by or rides by on a bike, they just go, you little drug addict. That's one of those.
I bet you're high right now.
Yep. Look at him. All cracked out. You're little crack babies. You're all cracked out. I can tell all of you.
Too much energy.
1 star, the housing availabilities are nil, especially those of us who have pets we've had for years. So they were having problems finding pet-friendly housing, apparently.
I understand.
Not enough industry or decent-paying jobs, not near enough convenience of shopping. Okay. So, the pet thing, I mean, that's just normal in every place. Yeah. It's just difficult. We dealt with that ourselves, so that's tough.
Yeah.
Population of this place, it's been in a steady decline since about 1980. It peaked out in 1970 at 19,300 people in that region here. Now there's 14,914 people here, down about 18% since 1990. Yeah. So it's declining. Male and female populations are pretty normal. Median age is slightly older. It's about 43 and a half. It's about 6 years over the national average, but there's no huge swath of older people, and it's just kind of just the way it worked out. Married population's a little bit low, that sort of thing. Single with no children, a little bit high. So if you want to get down and find a party place. This is might be your spot here. If you can ski,
Vermont can party.
I'm telling you, if you can ski, you can take over one of those lodge.
You'll be pulling tail.
All over the place. Male or female, you can do this.
I love any movie where they're taking over a ski lodge.
Big big puffy necked sweater on, sitting there. Hey, how you doing? Fire crackling. Yeah, I've never done that ever. Never been skiing.
No.
Oh
my God, it's so much fun.
I don't know.
You'd love it.
You're going to go down and then what? You got to fall down and get back up again and climb back up? Why am I doing this?
There's snow all over me.
Well, I'm not going to be a professional skier.
Yeah.
I'm one of those things where, like, unless I'm going to be really, really good at something, what am I doing this for?
And the other part is that when you do
it's not fun unless you're great at it.
You get snow all over you. What happens next is it gets wet, and that's not fun.
No.
That's horrible.
Being terrible at something is not fun ever for me. Like, I suck at this.
And it's cold.
Yeah, why can't I do this? Race of this town, it's Vermont, so it's pretty white. 93.8% white, as a matter of fact. Very, very white. 1.3% black. 2.1% Asian, which is kind of more than I imagined, honestly, in this town. And 1.7% Hispanic, which is very low. It's like 10% of what there usually is. And it's normally 17%. 38% of the people in Rutland are religious, which, a little less. It's kind of normal for the Northeast. Most of the people that are religious, though, Catholic. 25% of the population is Catholic because, as we know, Catholics are the Baptists of the North. And here we are. We have that couple of Methodists here and there, 0.2% Jewish, so not many Jewish people here. We have last presidential election, 53% of the people in this county, almost 54% voted Democrat, 43% voted Republican, and about 3.1% independent, which is low for Vermont, actually. Vermont is where Bernie Sanders is from, and he's he's not a member of a political party.
He's the representative of this.
Yeah, so technically, so they're open to the I next to somebody's name. They don't see that and go, oh, well, they're not really in a party. So it's
that serious.
Yeah, unemployment rate's a little bit low here. So you can get a job, but the household income is also low. So you have that. More jobs that pay less money. Okay. So median household income here is $42,861. So it's about $15,000.
Super low for Vermont, right?
Yeah, it's about $15,000 under the national average. Not as many people making over $100,000 as average in the U.S. It's just kind of a lower wage place here. Cost of living, 100 is regular average. Here it is 83, and housing is actually the low one.
Really?
Yeah, housing is a 59.6, so pretty low. Median home cost $209,500, which for the Northeast is not
bad at all.
Not terrible. Most of the houses are between 100 and 250,000. A ton of high end or real low end. So if we've convinced you,
my God,
you have your skis all waxed up.
Yeah.
You're ready to dominate the lodge. And what was it? Would you say pull some tail at the lodge or whatever? There you go. Pulling some tail at the lodge. You're okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
We have for you. I had something very dirty. I'm not going to say it. The Rutland, Vermont Real Estate Report. Your average two-bedroom rental here goes for about $933, so that's lower than the national average. I found a four-bedroom, two-bath, 1,752 square foot house. That's good. Got some kids. That'll work it out. Everybody will fit. This house is fucked up. It is. It's terrible everything. I can't. It has inexplicable flooring is the best way to describe it. I don't know what it is. It's different in different parts of rooms.
It's not wood?
Sometimes it's other things. I don't know what it is. I don't even know what the material is. I don't know what is happening in this house.
I like it.
It has the most terrible wallpaper from like the 40s. Everywhere. Shit that's never coming off. I mean, you're going to spend 6 months scraping this off.
And then you're going to find more wallpaper under that.
Who knows what's under that? I don't know what you're going to find under that. Skeletons, I'm not sure. A mess, this house. $29,900.
Holy shit.
For a house of that size, it might be worth, unless it's the foundation is rotting away, it might be worth an investment.
Staggeringly affordable for New England.
Yeah, that's very, very cheap. So I found a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,248 square foot house that is nice, clean, updated. It's if that house, got put back together again, $142,500. So that's
affordable.
That's like the entry level there is that, unless you want something that you're going to put back together.
Right.
Then I found a 5-bedroom, 5-bath,
Okay.
8,640 square feet, Jimmy.
Holy shit.
Rolling green lawns, just beautiful. 10 acres.
Oh, my God.
Huge guest house that's not even near the regular house.
Really?
It's a fucking quarter mile away from it. You could have people over and you go, are they still here even? I don't even know. I think they might have left 3 days ago.
Call them and check on them.
Amazing. $1,595,000.
That is the cheapest thing I've ever heard for 8,000 square feet.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, I'm not buying a house of that cost, but if I was in the market for that
is so cheap.
That seems like a good deal. I don't know. Fuck. Someday I'd like to look at that and go, not bad, rather than, wow, that's amazing.
I want to look at that and say, send the realtor over.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That sounds great.
So things to do in this town. Yeah. Pretty much the main thing to do. And there's other things. There's a lot of skiing, obviously. Yeah. That's skiing, fucking lodge gash, the whole deal.
Right.
All of that. But there's also Rutland Bowlerama presents the Northeast's 48th annual Green Mountain Open Tournament.
Of bowling. This is awesome.
So, yeah, you can enter that. There's going to be all sorts of people there and bowl away.
I wonder if who do you think you are, I am guy is there.
Oh, God. That
guy is awesome.
Is that Pete Weber?
Yes.
Yeah, Pete Weber. There's a 30 for 30 on him.
Really?
It's a short one. The short
Just
30.
because of that phrase, huh?
His father was also like he was Dick Weber, who was like the guy who was on TV every week for like 40 years, and so
that's
he was
that's
his dad.
Holy shit!
So he's a legacy in bowling. Okay. Anyway, that's more crime in sports.
It's a big deal.
I found the Rutland Halloween Parade.
Hell yeah!
This is their big thing here.
Parade.
It's huge. This Halloween parade. It's so much so, as we'll talk about. It's been mentioned in tons of different comic books.
Really?
Because we'll talk here. It's been taking place since 1960.
Awesome.
There, and in the early 1970s, it was used as a setting in a bunch of comic books, including Batman number 237, Justice League of America number 103.
Holy shit!
Amazing Adventures 16. Avengers number 33, The Mighty Thor number 207. So they mentioned it a lot. There's a guy named Tom Fagan who's a local writer and he's big into comic books.
Okay.
And he apparently helped in the beginning of the parade, was involved in it and helped have a superhero theme.
Okay.
That was it. So it became like this superhero parade.
It's the original Comic-Con.
That's exactly what it is, except in syrup country down the middle of the street.
It's a very sticky Comic-Con.
It's very icky. And hold on, you get your feet off the ground.
Somehow it's stickier now.
So, and the Boston Globe article said in 1965, the Joker, Plastic Man, and Doctor Strange were roaming the streets of Rutland along with Batman. So he was, I guess, running around. Fagin was being Batman or whatever the hell's going on here. 5,000 spectators watched in 1970.
Wow.
Who they had all sorts. Every superhero was there. They had floats with Thor on it. All sorts of shit going on there. So apparently that's apparently a huge deal here.
Nice, yeah.
And the parade, they would kick it off by yelling "Avengers Assemble."
Okay.
That's literally how they would start the parade. So if you're into superheroes and want to go to like a street Comic-Con, it's still going on today.
Wow.
So enjoy yourselves. Crime rate in this town, what we are obviously interested in here. Property crime is super high.
Really?
It's about 50% high.
Jesus.
It's high. They will steal your shit here.
For a place with caped superheroes, what the fuck?
It's like they have sticky fingers or something.
Do your job, Batman.
Yeah.
Clean this shit up.
Clean it up. So violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime.
Yeah.
That must be what Batman is concentrating on, because that's actually lower than average. Yeah, it's about 20% lower than the national average. So they'll steal your shit, but they'll stop short of actual violence here.
Yeah.
So with that said, let's talk about something that did not stop short of actual violence. A brutal, brutal murder.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's head all the way back to the night of, we all remember where we were this night, Jimmy. July the 3rd, 1971.
Oh, my.
Oh, yes. I have no, my parents were still in school. Like, I don't even.
My dad was, I think, 11.
That's what I mean. My dad was.
My dad didn't even jerk off yet.
I think my dad might have just started by then when it was close call. It's a close one. So this is before our time, obviously.
On the cusp of parental masturbation.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Right on the taint of parental masturbation. Right in there, on the edge of it.
Gross.
So this is 1971. It's about 10:30 at night. And, some of these times when we have murders and people are found, we'll be like, oh, man, how'd they find that person? What a coincidence. Yeah. Like if you look at the serial case of Hae-Min Lee,
right.
Like that guy really picked an intricate place to pee and then, saw a hand and a foot. Like it's really pretty, chances.
The chances are crazy.
It's a chance thing. This, on the other hand, not quite as much of a chance thing.
Was the mortuary guy walking into the morgue?
Well, directly under the Killington ski gondola lift.
The Killington.
Killington is the name of the town.
Yeah.
That is right. It's the same area. Killington is the name of the ski resort town.
Got it.
It was Killington, and then I think they were like, we want people to ski here. This is probably bad.
People to come around.
So they changed it to, I think, Sherburne for a while, and then they said, you know what, Killington was kind of cool. People were like, fucking Killington, bro. They wanted a T-shirt. Like, I don't know what we were thinking.
Where are you going this winter? I'm going up to fucking Killington,
I survived Killington. Yeah. So I think that had a little more cachet to it, so they put it back. At least it's memorable.
Yeah.
So they put it back to that name.
Okay.
So under the ski lift, where people are on as they travel to go up and down the mountain to ski, there is a fire that is spotted, and it's about 7 feet down an embankment from a road, and then the ski lift runs off of it there. And it's a dirt road there off the road that's has access to a bunch of like the chalets and the camps and where like the ski instructors and the I guess
Village
I don't know.
Road.
Yeah.
It's where anybody that works there uses it.
You kind of like those, if you look in the back in like Disneyland, you're like, what goes on back there? And there's like a golf cart guy going.
I want to go on this ride. I want to go back there.
I want to see what's happening back there. They're jerking each other off back there. I know it. Goofy's fucking Woody back there. I've seen it. I want to look and see what's happening. I need to know.
Goofy's a girl under there?
I don't know. They're both guys. What do I care? I don't give a shit. Yeah, I think they're both guys. Who knows? Maybe they could be, Eiffel towering. Well, I was thinking Porky Pig. That's Mary. That's Warner Brothers. Can't have that. Well, let's see. Who would be best? Who would be the best? No.
Goofy's
the Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean guy. I want to see those two, Eiffel Tower, the Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean guy. I think that would be entertainment.
That's pretty solid.
That's what's happening back there. So what they see is a fire, and they look down. It's only a few feet from like a point below the gondola cable. So I mean, you're cruising right by it on the old ski lift. So everybody could see it, basically. There's no effort to conceal this fire. It's in kind of a rugged place, but it's in clear view of a shitload of things, including
certainly gets attention.
Where tourists go right by it.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get closer and they realize, right from a newspaper here, they say, quote, the scene that greeted them was a gruesome one, which contrasted with the quiet backwoods beauty of the area. It's one of those.
Go on, Longfellow.
Near the road, they found a heavy patch of fresh blood,
oh boy,
which had soaked into the ground. So they follow that about 7 feet down the embankment, and they find a smoldering body down here. The victim is lying on their side, head uphill and feet downhill is how this works, and pretty kind of charred up. It's just been set on fire. The clothes are burned up. It was discovered, the body, by a New Jersey man who owns a camp along the road. And he was on his way home in his car with his family when he noticed a fire on the side of the road, which will catch your attention at night.
Sure will.
It just does.
When is this?
This is in July. July. So the sun just went down.
Right.
I mean, it's 10:30, so it's been down for about an hour and a half. But as you know, on the East Coast, it stays light really late in the summer. Like when on 4th of July, you're like, when's it going to get dark here?
I sure want to shoot these fireworks.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on? It's never going to get dark. I'm tired already. Getting sleepy. So he noticed this. This guy's name is Charles Hoover. He ended up continuing home to his camp, which was just a few hundred yards away from the fire. So he saw the fire. Then he returned back to check it out. He said, we'll go home, drop the family off, and come back. But he also brings his 13-year-old son with him to investigate.
Oh, no.
And they discover that it is a body that was on fire.
Right.
So that's fun for the kid to discover.
Yeah.
He threw some water on the body.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know. Obviously, I doubt the police probably... Whoever's investigating probably doesn't want you to, put a fire out of
Anything
person.
on it.
That's probably not great. But he threw some water on this body because that's just a human reaction. There's a person on fire. I should probably put them out.
Also, my 13-year-old son's there. I don't want him to think you don't put somebody out if they're on fire.
That's a bad lesson to set. Really, you're trying to set an example for the kid. Plus, back then, I don't think they'd seen so much CSI type shit, so they didn't know like I'm going to be washing away fibers. I could wash them. They wouldn't know that back then.
I just rinsed semen off of it.
Now they're just like, there's a person, put him out. No shit, they wouldn't think to, preserve the crime scene. That's not what. Yeah. That's very new. That's the last 20, 30 years. So obviously they call police. The police. There's not a lot going on around here in terms of smoldering body.
Yeah.
So police really roll up on this. Plus, it's a resort, ski resort. So they really, it's bad for the town.
Yeah.
If
that looks shitty.
Tourists are seeing smoldering bodies from the ski lift, it looks bad. No Yelp yet, but if there was Yelp, that's definitely going to be on it.
In summertime, even those ski lifts in the summer get all kinds of activity.
Going
up to see a thawed out mountain, going up for a hike back down or whatever the fuck. But there's all kinds of activity.
There's people around, too, that just work around there anyway. They have to preserve it all year round. So they get there, and they also send Stephen Klein and Dr. Harris, who is our crime scene experts, all the way from Montpelier.
Wow.
They come in. So it's the capital, indeed. So it's absolutely pretty goddamn disgusting. Like we said, there's blood everywhere. The body itself is a male. The clothes were practically burned off, the police said. It was set on fire. He appears to have been wearing jeans, a light brown plaid shirt, and hiking boots.
Yeah, 70s attire.
It's 1971, exactly. His hair was burned, and there were severe burns around his abdominal area as well. So he wore a friendship ring on his right hand. Okay. That sounds like a 60s thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
free love stuff.
Some sort of, I remember in the 90s there was the friendship bracelets. I think it's like the 70s version of that.
70s, very hippie thing.
Yeah, probably. So they found no signs of a struggle, although they did say it would be difficult to tell because the body's kind of burned. Mm-hmm. So little things like scratches and stuff become harder to see.
Insignificant too, really. Compared to the fucking injuries that he's sustained now.
That's the thing. So they finally get this was 10:30 the body was discovered. They get him out of there by ambulance at 3 a.m. Process it all because it's dark and it's outside, so they really have to kind of spread out slowly. I don't know what the procedures are back then, but
it's dark.
Yeah, and it's dark. Yeah. We're going to see they're a little bit lax back then, as we'll find out.
Take a little more time?
They could have taken an extra couple of seconds, not exactly with this, but with a couple other things. Yeah. They did say that the victim bled extensively at the scene, indicating that this is probably the site of the initial attack, and also that the victim did not die quickly or immediately. They definitely bled a lot before they died. So they thought that the fire on the body occurred probably, not positive, but probably after the death. Either that or as he was bleeding out.
Yeah.
One or the other. They didn't think he was, on fire and aware of it for too long. Anyway.
Or they lit him on fire and then started stabbing. Or doing whatever.
Yeah. You don't even know what they've done yet here. Now, the first thing they have to do, obviously, is figure out who this is. Yeah. Clearly. You can't figure out who murdered someone without understanding.
Generally, the first is identification.
The murder of who are they? Where were they? Who were they with? Helps, who might have been mad at them.
Instrumental.
So they do remove a portion of the wallet that's in there that's burned up. So they bring that to the lab later on. That'll be something. And through there's a clothing label with some stitching on it, and the clothing label has the shirt itself has holes in it that don't appear to be from a burn.
Oh.
So they're thinking that might be
work shirt.
It's some sort of either a bullet hole or knife wound or a knife hole or something like that. So they feel like that shirt was on the victim when they were attacked. It wasn't like put on. Hey, Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well.
Right.
And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
On them afterwards. Okay. So there is an identifying tag in the clothing that's going to help out a lot. And so they're trying to figure it out, though. They call the Rutland Police Department and try to get descriptions of anybody missing to see if they fit or whatever. They say that it looks to be, because they find it turns out to be gunshot wounds in this victim. At first they think it's 2 gunshots to the neck, 2 shotgun blasts to the neck.
Oh, my God.
Then later on, they will realize that, oh, no, it's not 2 to the neck. There's 1 to the right side, chest, and then another to the neck. And then they realize, oh, wait, there's multiple. There's more than just 2 is the problem. There's 1 in the neck, 1 in the right side, 1 in the shoulder, 1 over here.
Shotgun blast.
All sorts of shotgun blasts.
Holy shit.
On this person. They've really battered around with a shotgun and then set ablaze at a ski resort, which is different. You don't hear that's.
You wouldn't expect that. Never. Anytime you're in a ski resort, the last thing you're thinking is, I'm going to be attacked. with several
savagely,
right?
And you don't at this point too. They don't know is this a tourist?
Right.
They're hoping it's not.
Oh, please don't be.
You'd rather this is a local because it's bad for tourism otherwise. So you're like, let's let this be like some dirtbag from around the way here.
This to be a guy that's got a fight with somebody over the Black Diamond. I don't need this to be anything more than that.
Nothing to do with skiing, please. So they're trying to identify this guy. They stop a few people, including a guy named Stephen Bannigan, and he has two people with him. They stop him about 1:30 in the morning, and they live in a chalet off the road, so they questioned the people. They said, were there any parties or brawls the night before? Did you hear any crazy shit going on? A bunch of dudes fighting.
How about a bunch of shotgun
blasts? I was going to say, maybe a shotgun blast or two, maybe followed by, oh, God, I'm hit. Something, anything like that.
Gasoline.
Oh, Jesus.
Anything like that?
no, don't set me on fire. Nothing like that. And they said, no, they never... nothing. They said, do you have any idea who this might be? It was somebody who died. And I said, we don't know anybody who's missing, so not us. They get, there's reporters there crawling all around. It turns into a zoo pretty quickly.
Sure.
A really, just people everywhere. They're investigating the possibility, the police say, that they think some fuel was used to promote the burning of the body, because otherwise bodies don't catch that well.
No.
Generally an accelerant.
Yeah,
an accelerant's needed. They take soil samples from where the body's found to find out if there's any kind of fuel in there, which is smart. They bring in more people from Montpelier to examine the crime scene. Their Bureau of Criminal Investigation people come in, the Vermont Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Initially, they look all around. They do a big sweep. They find no weapon. So that's a issue. So that's no clue to go on there. They end up... The guy they turn to solve the mystery is a patrolman for the Rutland Police Department here. And it's a patrolman named Edwin Hall. Yeah. It's a police officer. And he checks this out, and he believes it's his nephew. That's why they bring him in to try to identify.
He thinks the body is his nephew.
He thinks his body could possibly be his nephew. And so they bring him in to make sure, because he said, hey, my nephew didn't come home, or I don't know where he is. He's not answering his phone, and you never know, as we'll find out. His nephew's type of guy that you never know where he's going to pop up, so you don't know. So they say among the marks that he recognized was a tattoo on the victim's right arm. It's the form of a ribbon-draped cross with the Marine Corps with Semper Fi on it.
Got it.
So that's what he's got.
Military tattoo.
Yeah, military tattoo. Other ones that he found out, he said that the general size was about correct with his nephew, and he said he helped raise this guy, so he knew him very well. So it wasn't just like haven't seen him in 5 years. It's probably my nephew, Ronald A. Rogers is his name. At this point, he's 34 years old, which is so funny because 34 doesn't sound very old at the time. No. Born in 1937, which sounds like he's got his pants up right below his tits. Right. Very confused.
That is a crazy age.
Isn't that crazy? But at this moment, he's only 34 years old. He's doing fine.
He's such a baby.
He's right in the middle of everything. He's got kids. He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. Today that is an
elderly person.
Rodney Dangerfield was born in the 20s.
Yeah, we were shocked to see that.
This guy is 10 years younger than that.
We watched Back to School again the other night because Sarah had never seen it, and we're like, listen, there's so many references and other things to this movie, you kind of have to see it.
And Rodney is
and it's great.
At his most Rodney.
It's his most Rodney. You don't lie to me, you lie to girls. It's the most Rodney you're going to get, that old school whatever. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Ronald Rogers here.
And his name's, okay. Yeah, very close.
Ronald. Is that why we thought? Oh, because of the date of birth.
Yeah.
Anyway, we looked it up and we're shocked that Rodney was like 60 in that movie.
Right, 65.
He was 65 in that movie.
65 years old when he made that.
Holy shit. And he can still pull off the triple Indy. Amazing.
What a movie.
Now, Ronald is an unemployed ski lift operator and carpenter.
Okay.
He's unemployed in two separate locations.
Double unemployed,
that's very unemployed.
Very impressive.
If you have two skills and you can't get hired for either of them, that's an issue.
Yeah.
He is described by his uncle and other people as a loner. Listen to this description here. described as a loner, a reader of serious books, and a man with a tendency to provoke drinking companions to anger.
Oh,
that's how he's described.
He's an asshole.
I was just going to say, what does that sound? What's the word I'm going? I don't mean to besmirch the dead.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. But when you hear that, you go, that sounds like an asshole. Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? Huge asshole.
Definitely an asshole.
I don't know if he is, but the description sounds like it.
Whoever described him as that is not his friend.
That's his uncle who loves him.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
Think about it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, it might be worse.
That's the most positive thing said about him.
Yeah, pretty much. There's more said about him. He was seen at the Center Street Bar early Saturday afternoon, which is that afternoon, but not anywhere near that time. Because they said when he was set on fire and shot there, it was probably pretty soon before the person found him, since he was still on fire.
Yeah.
So there's, that
shit goes out pretty quick.
The window's pretty small here, so during the afternoon, he was still alive and he was seen there. Also, he was placed on a different street at a different bar at about the same time.
Okay. So you're telling me a guy that makes his drinking partners hate him was drinking
multiple places.
Uh-oh.
He's seen, by the way, in multiple places at the same time.
Wow.
He was at several different bars at the same time. So I don't know if he was having a beer at each place and everybody's times just kind of collapsed over, like they were fudging their resume or something.
Or he quickly pissed people off and had to dip.
That's what I mean. I don't know what was going on. Or people are confused because he's got kind of a common face. I don't know.
Or people are confused because they were, drinking.
That's the other thing. They were drinking in the middle of the afternoon, so there's that. It's something to
Not
think
the most
about.
Reliable people.
It's certainly something to think about.
Absolutely.
Everybody's drinking in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe that's an issue. So cops at this point, investigators don't really have a motive. They don't really know what the fuck's going on, other than he's kind of an asshole, but they don't think someone's going to kill him and set him on fire for that.
It's hard to. How do you get to from don't buy me Irish car bombs to I will literally shotgun and light you on fire.
Light you on fire at a ski resort.
That's a bit far.
So they said everybody called him a loner. They said that he suffered periods of depression and despondency in general. They definitely, all of his friends said he was very easily provoke people. That's a thing. So they're like, if someone got that mad at him, that would not be surprising. Everyone said he'll definitely push buttons.
He's either an asshole or the most fun person
He might
ever.
Be fun, but
because you would be this.
Wait a second. Say
People
it then, Jimmie.
What?
Say it.
Say what?
What are you going to say? He's what now?
He's like you.
Well, not quite. Who is he? He's your kind of guy, isn't he, Jimmie? Which would be...
I might like him.
Okay. You always say that at exactly the wrong time. That's the funny part about this. You say that not before, and I'm like, hold on to that thought for 10 minutes. You say it as my mouth's opening to read a line that's going to make you completely not think that. That's what's amazing. It's beautiful. Your timing is spectacular.
Unbelievable.
It's fucking top notch.
I just know so many guys. I just started running over a Rolodex of people that are really good at pissing me off, but I like them.
I get that. But the next line is, Rogers at one time supported Nazi beliefs.
Oh, never mind. Jesus Christ.
Let me get that line out and then tell me how much you like him. I'm like, 10 seconds, Jimmie.
You son of a bitch.
Nazi beliefs. They said, though, not all of his political talk was all Nazis and Hitler here. Yeah. They said not all of it was extreme.
Some of it was David Duke.
Some of it was more toward the... I don't know, more toward the not off the cliff, but dangling by your fingertips with someone stepping on them hard, which David Duke is falling off the cliff. But still, he was literally in the Klan.
Yeah.
A local politician reported that Rogers, once conducted a highly intelligent discourse on the poll tax with him for several minutes.
Wow.
So he's a smart guy, everybody says, can be a huge pain in the ass, a sometimes Nazi who then is apparently very, very well invested in and interested in the poll tax in Vermont. So he also, according to a relative of his, said that he liked to drink and, quote, would get agitated in bars with political discussions. And they said he could be, quote, miserable when he was drinking.
Yeah.
Gets in drinks, starts fights, or gets in drinks, has drinks,
same.
Gets in fights, yeah.
Gets in
drinks, Starts fights.
That's it.
Drinks,
That's
fights.
what he is.
Yeah.
He's a drinker and a fighter. Not much of a lover.
Not much of a, well, we don't know that
All
yet.
right. So far.
Now, his uncle who identified him is the brother of his mother. So that's first, right there.
Okay.
Mother's brother.
Yeah.
That close uncle, not like a distant uncle or anything like that. He said that Rogers often felt like no one wanted him. He just wasn't. He didn't felt like he wasn't wanted by a lot of people. And his uncle also said that he, quote, had a lot of time on his hands. Too much time.
Uh-oh.
Literally, there's ... too much time. Gets him in trouble. His uncle said that his reading ran to, quote, deep stuff.
Oh, boy.
And that, quote, he could tell you more about the Communist Party than the communists can.
That's not good.
Well, I mean, you can read it's political theory and economic.
Yeah.
It's economic theory, so it's good to read up on. I don't know if he was enthusiastic for it or against it. I'm not sure if he just
generally
knew
you
about it.
Be interested to read it.
Yeah, or if he just knew about it. He's just, I'm very interested in the economic and political systems of the world.
Especially the Nazi side.
Especially the Nazis, and then sometimes the communists as well. But still, I just like it all. He said they never participated in politics, but his uncle said, quote, he knew what he was talking about. Okay. So he was into it. He sounds like a guy who'd be a real pain in the ass on social media today.
Yes.
He was about 6 feet tall. They said that he could take care of himself, though. He wasn't he would start fights and he wasn't a pushover. He could fight for himself, and he was a formidable guy. And they said that his uncle said that he felt like he would have definitely put up a fight if he had known that someone was attacking him. Okay. If he was out there to be murdered, there would be some sort of resistance put up because he was an ornery type.
Yeah.
That wouldn't take too much shit. And there's no sign of a struggle there. So the uncle thinks, and the uncle's a cop too, so I don't know what kind of investigative skills he has, but maybe more than the average layman there. Okay. So he seems to think that, this has to be some kind of setup or something. Otherwise, he would have fought back. He said that also that Rogers reportedly recently took medication, quote, for his nerves.
Oh.
And that's what they would say in 1971.
Yeah, that's such a vague term for whatever he's putting inside him.
That's what I mean. Medication for his nerves. God knows what they gave him back then, especially. Right. He had recently checked into a veterans hospital in White River Junction and also one in Northampton, Massachusetts, in an effort to, the way his uncle described it, quote, straighten himself out. Which is the most 1971 way to describe anything. He takes some medication for his nerves, and he checked on into the loony bin there to straighten himself out. That's a very 1971 uncle.
About a week, he'll be fine.
He should be all right. He's going to come out of there. I don't know. He comes out drooling and his tongue's flopping all over the place, but eventually he pulls it together. So it was a very cheer up bitch moment.
Sure was.
For that. He didn't say, they asked him what was he straightening out, and there was no real defining answer on that. Just his nerves, I guess. So they do find out all about him that in 3 days, on July 6th, so it was the 3rd was Saturday, 4th, Sunday, 5th, Tuesday, July 6th, he was set to go on trial for armed robbery.
Oh, dear
His
Lord.
trial was set for an armed robbery, and this was the retrial for an armed robbery.
That was already a hung jury.
That was a mistrial on the first one. It was a 1969 robbery, and the first trial was in 1969, and this was 71. Okay. So he's 3 days away from an armed robbery trial.
Found on the side of the... Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Apparently, he was charged with robbing an Ames Foodland in Rutland. Okay. AMES. I'm wondering if that is the same Ames chain that used to be in New York, too.
It had to be.
There's one in Fishkill. There was Ames that was there forever. AMES.
That's right
up
the road.
It was like a Target type of thing. Yeah, it's only a couple hours from here, this place. So, they said they had... No, the police said they had no information indicating that he was involved in like the drug traffic or anything like that, any high dollar crime that would cause people to kill him based on his illegal activities. Anything more than just being an asshole, they don't really have being kind of an asshole sometimes. They don't really have a lot. They do a check here. At first, it was 2 shotgun blasts, one in the back of the neck at close range, and then one hit him in the right arm in the chest. Okay. And that one was fired from a greater distance.
Okay.
So they think probably either that one was fired first to knock him down, and then they came up and hit him in the back, or he was hit in the back, and then the other one was just kind of as he rolled down the hill, and then it was for good measure. Okay. They weren't positive. First, they thought it was 2 blasts to the back of the neck, but then they, figured out maybe it wasn't. Now, he apparently, later on, they decide that he had been shot, quote, several more times than the first 2 times they thought.
Boy, oh boy.
Once they looked a little further into this. There's not a real lot of science going on here. Okay. They just say that and we looked a little further into it. Like, what were you doing the first time? Just a cursory once over? What the fuck are you doing?
You just roll and count?
It's an autopsy.
Yeah.
Let's really get in there and check it out.
Magnifying glasses are good. I don't know. Anything that gets a closer look.
Yeah. They said that he has sustained additional gunshot wounds to the chest, body, and right arm, besides the 2 neck shots that they originally found. So now they're thinking 4 or 5 times he was shot. They said that some of the wounds were a result of close range shots, while others were fired at 6 to 8 feet.
Jesus.
Fuck, man. That's brutal. So they got to find out about his life a little bit. He's born in 1937, like we said. His parents' name are Sidney and Ina. Okay. They are lifelong residents of Rutland. Yeah. He had been employed by the Killington Corp and was a veteran of the Korean conflict.
Right.
So he went to Korea, right out of high school, this kid. I don't know. How he was 37 he was born. Korea was over by then. Well, he might have went to Korea, but he wasn't in the conflict, right?
I don't know.
The fuck did Korea go on for? Did it go to 56?
I don't know.
It might have went to 56. I'm not sure.
It must.
It had to have, because then, I guess he did.
No way for it not to have.
Because then he would have went. If he went when he was 17, 18, that makes sense then. So
maybe he was there for 2-3 days to help sign the treaty.
I think maybe he came into. He wanted to set up the DMZ.
Yeah,
get it all ready,
get it established.
He had to do it. Yeah, he had to. He was going to argue over the exact lines.
He's going to roll out some barbed wire.
He had that blue tape, that blue string shit that you put down when you're laying a deck. That's what he did. The chalk line. He had one of those. He came through with it. Hold on, the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. One of those painter hats on. Wait a minute, everybody. Back up for 1 second. I'm going to put the line down. I'm putting the line down.
They're going to give me stripes for this.
Man. So his mother died when he was 6.
Shit.
So that was an issue. That's when he went to live with his uncle, who was the police officer who identified him.
Okay.
So his father had left the home well before that, so he had no parents from 6 on.
God.
Rogers. Yeah. He spent some time with a stepfather in Albany. After his mom died, they gave that a shot, but that didn't work out.
No.
Obviously.
Why the fuck would that work out?
Yeah, that's so. Got divorced from your mom, and then she died, and then he's going to take you in, and that's probably not going to work.
That.
Then what happens when he finds somebody else and he has to explain, oh, yeah, this is my...
Oh, that piece of shit?
My divorced wife's son, and then
died
she
after
died.
I divorced her.
I mean, it's a nice thing to do, but...
Trying to be a good person.
Instead, he comes back and lives with his uncle and all of that.
Or he figured that'd
shit.
help him land women, and then when it didn't, he's like, you can go back to your uncle.
Maybe you can go back here. I took you to the park, and it's not really working out.
It's not working, kid.
I'm not getting what I like to call lodge gash out there. That's the problem. Now, usually, if you were cuter, I think we could pull it off.
Yeah.
It made him very sad.
Go tell that pretty lady this is your first birthday without your mom.
Yeah, no
you won't
shit.
do it? Get the fuck back to your
Ike.
uncle.
Take Ike. And say, Daddy's been very sad. So this is terrible, obviously, but you know what? It's probably not far off from what some people have done. As a kid, he was never really a problem. The uncle said, quote, he always did what you told him. Mm-hmm. He was always a good kid, but they said he could stir people up otherwise. His uncle said, quote, he would get guys agitated in bars. He would discuss politics, and they couldn't keep up with him. He was so deep. Jesus, uncle sounds like he really was in love with him here. So he ends up... he did stints in both the Navy and the Marines.
Really?
Which I didn't know was possible, especially because they both ended in medical discharges. So I don't know how you can get medically discharged from one branch and then just join another one.
That's how easy the Navy is.
Maybe. I don't know. Possibly. Or he was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to test this my knee out and join the Marines.
See if this stable thing will work.
I'm not sure. Either way, he's in both, and he ends up having 2 marriages that don't really go anywhere, a couple of daughters, as we'll find out. Okay. Kind of a mess. When he first gets married, Rogers, people thought that this was going to cool him out. and he'd be, everything's going to be all right. Oh, he's settling down now. That's kind of how they looked at it back then. Once people got married, they were like, oh, that's settling down. He'll stop being an asshole.
Mellow him right out.
Yeah, but he liked kids, and he wanted to have a kid. He had a kid with his first wife, and then they got divorced, though, and she took the kid. And back then, it was much less, I'll just see him every weekend type of thing. It was people just
when I see him.
Yeah, if you went and broke up, whoever took the kid and got remarried, that was just part of their family now, and you didn't see them anymore. It was weird back then.
It is fucked.
Very weird.
Yeah.
So they got divorced, like we said. He ends up getting married again, and they have another daughter.
Okay.
This is in the late 60s. And but by 1971, they are separated for a few months before this all happens. I found some from 1968. His wife tried to divorce him in 68. Right. This is when she entered a divorce suit against him on the grounds of what she called, quote, intolerable severity.
What the fuck does
that means he was abusive.
Oh.
That's physical and mental abuse, as we'll talk about. Intolerable severity.
Yeah.
I could handle an asshole, but not this level of asshole. That's a different thing.
He is unbelievably severe.
Yeah, he's way severe. They were married in 1964, but by January of 71, they were still married. And in January of 71, he is ordered to be sent to the Vermont State Hospital for observation after he is charged with breach of the peace, as we'll talk about. The judge recommended his lawyer recommended a plea of innocent by reason of insanity after he was charged with, quote, hitting his wife in a family-type squabble.
Wow.
That's not a squabble, really, I would say.
If you hit your wife, it's beyond.
That's beyond a squabble.
Too far.
He was jailed and was lacking the $500 bail, so they put him in a hospital instead.
Okay.
So, it was pretty interesting. So after that, he ended up moving out, and he spent a little more time in a hospital and then came back out and was kind of floating around in June. He stayed at a motel in June, and then in July, we know what happened before his trial.
He's got some mental health issues for sure.
Yeah, there's some issues, and he's also kind of a mysterious guy who has a lot going on. He's got armed robberies. Yeah. He's got a lot of things that are kind of a mystery, as we'll talk about. So let's enter another character into this little drama that we have brewing. Robert D. Gosia is his name. He is a year older than Mr. Rogers here. Mr. Rogers. He's a cab driver, this guy. Okay. He's also been employed at Shelburne Corp., which is the operators of the Killington ski area.
Got it.
So that's how he knows Rogers. They work together there.
Sure.
So, they're both former employees there. 1969, all I could find on this Gosia guy is he's a terrible driver. Just this has nothing to do with murder, but it'll take 2 minutes because
he's a cab driver that's bad at it?
Just terrible at it. I just keep seeing in the paper all these fines, running stop signs. He got in an accident in a parking lot at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, man, what are you doing?
6:30. Vehicles driven by him and some other guy collided in a Grand Union parking lot. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's too early for that shit. Another 1970 here. He suffers a broken foot and facial cuts when his motorcycle is in a collision with a sedan.
Jesus.
He's got bad driving luck.
He's just bad at all of it.
In 2 years, he's got tons of accidents happening here. And then in 1971, here we go, another one here. This is April of 71.
Yeah.
He pleads innocent of leaving the scene of an accident and a violation of the law of the road. And then he pled guilty and was fined to 2 stoplight violations. So he's a bad driver. Mm-hmm. This is all in the same day.
He doesn't even. It's not just that he's a bad driver. He just doesn't follow the fucking laws of anything. What stopping is really his problem.
That's the issue. Now we bring him up because it is alleged that he participated in the Ames robbery with robbers. Gosia. Goshea. Gaucher, probably.
I like thinking of Gautier.
Gautier? I think it's probably Gaucher.
Sounds better.
It sounds cooler, yeah. So he is, that's how that works. So they're trying to establish if that was, because when Rogers went on trial, he's tried by himself, And he says to anyone who will listen that he does have an accomplice, but he just doesn't choose to talk about them right now.
I don't want to name them.
So that's how it works. So there's a speculation that it's Gaucher here. There's a woman named Marilyn Perkins who at the time of the robbery, she operated Rutland Tax Service with her husband Frank, and Gaucher worked there. Okay. That was kind of his job at the time. She said that on June 9th, 1969, the police were going to the Ames store to investigate the robbery that just happened. Gaucher was at their house, which is 2 blocks away from the store.
Yeah.
She said she learned of the police from another taxi driver who had radioed her about the police action. And they said that she said she didn't know how long Gaucher had been at her house, which is only a few minutes from the store. But he was in the vicinity of the store. Right. So that's kind of neither an alibi nor not an alibi.
Yeah, it doesn't
depends on how you
him, but it certainly puts him near the scene, and that's not good either.
The prosecution would say puts him 2 minutes from it, and the defense would go puts him in another place from
puts
it.
Puts him 2 minutes away.
Puts him in front of other people. Right. So it could work either way. I think that's a wash probably. Yeah. But they think, the state and the cops think that the prosecution will eventually say that Gaucher helped Rogers to rob the store and then fled to the Perkins residence to look innocent, and that's what happened here. Now, at the time during the first robbery trial for Rogers, he was sent to a state hospital at Waterbury for observation, and that was in 1969. Right. And that trial ended in a hung jury, and the speculation that there was an accomplice out there was kind of part of the reason why some of the people didn't vote guilty, because they thought maybe he was being threatened or something not to say anything, and they felt bad putting a guy in who was being,
somebody else clearly needs to take the rap too.
Somebody was putting the screws to him, basically, is what they thought. So, anyway, they thought that might be what it was. So that retrial was set for July 6th, 2000,
geez.
July 6, 2000, Jimmy.
I'm going to investigate this for 30 years.
It's going to be a while. July 6, 1971.
Okay.
So from June 2nd to June 17th, Rogers, the dead man, spent 2 weeks at the Berwick Hotel. The desk clerk, Miss Beverly Williams, found him to be, quote, very quiet, apparently sober, and what she described as always alone, and this is a great quote, overall a nice young chap. So she's the only person who said that. He paid $23 per week for a room.
Wow.
That's so cheap.
That
Holy
would be
shit.
Amazing.
That's incredible. It's
it
like
really
$3
is.
a day. That's wild. That's insane. And when he checked out, he just left the key in the room and he didn't come back. So that was his way of checking out, kind of like you do now.
Yeah.
So now the body, let's get to this. The body, when it's found, it's found wearing a light colored striped cotton dress shirt, hiking boots, it's dark hair but burned, a bushy mustache, about 5'11", 175. Like we said, he is identified by his uncle, just to do that. Now, what they do is, because it's his uncle and because he works he's a corporal in the Rutland Police Department, that's the identification.
Take his word.
Yeah, they just have him ID it. They don't take fingerprints. They don't do blood tests. They don't do dental records. None of that.
He's got a criminal record, so we have his fingerprints, right?
Probably, yeah. They're on file. Yeah, definitely. He was on trial, for Christ's sake. But they said the victim's fingers were shrunken from the fire and from whatever. So they said they could have injected saline solution into the fingertips to get the fingerprints on the dead man. But to do that, the ends of the fingers would have had to have been cut off.
Oh, Jesus.
They felt bad cutting the fingers off to do, science stuff that you need to do for an autopsy and an ID. So, you have to do it. It's identification. Mm-hmm. They said that, this is wild. This is the police department explaining that, quote, I'm a native Vermonter. This is the cop guy.
Oh, okay.
I'm a native Vermonter, and I have some compassion in this regards. You shouldn't unduly mutilate a body. We have a positive identification. When asked why didn't they do any of that, he goes, we don't need to mutilate bodies around here.
Okay.
I'm a native Vermonter. I don't like to, quote, solve murders.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
I'm a native. Don't blame it on that.
Don't blame. I would like to be ignorant as to the identity of a corpse on the fact of you're born in Vermont. That's stupid.
Where you file taxes.
Makes no fucking sense. So they have no leads. Days go by. All they find out is they indicate that from an autopsy, they figure out that Rogers ate carrots shortly before his death. Thin, raw, circular strips of carrots, like, twirled up.
Really?
Carrots, like from like a salad type of thing. I guess like if you shaved, like, you skinned it kind of, whatever. I think it's like that. They said strips like ones made by a potato peeler. Okay. So, just like you're doing that like on a salad, on top of a salad or something. Right. He also said that they wanted to check these local restaurants because they believe he had carrots and corned beef. Is what they decide based on the stomach contents there. They wanted to find where he might have eaten and lock down that he definitely had that. Okay. So they can, do a secondary identification based on circumstantial evidence, essentially.
Based on somebody had that shit at Margie's.
Yeah, so no leads. They say 5 days later, not a thing new, the prosecutor says. Nothing new to report. They said that the initial guy who was investigating the case, he's gone for a couple weeks, so he went to bomb school in Connecticut. Oh, God. To go learn that. So, we'll get to it.
That's the guy that we have investigating this? Is the guy on the bomb squad?
Yeah, he's got to go. He's got a class he's got to take. We'll get to the murder thing. He's got a continuing education. It's very important, Jimmie. Okay. So they said that they did have, State's Attorney Robert Tepper said they did have some response from the public. So that's an encouraging sign that maybe people will step forward. They said, quote, it's difficult to say if it represents a good portion of the people who saw him and knew him here. So, they don't know what percentage of these people are trying to help or if it's the same person calling 10 times, but they'll figure it out. They said he was wearing a bushy mustache, which is different than he looked in a newspaper photo. So essentially he's telling everybody, if you're thinking, is it that guy, mentally put a mustache on him, essentially. He said that he didn't know, the state's attorney didn't know whether there was any money on Rogers at the time of his death, that the wad was taken from him from the wallet, and we'll find out what that was. They found partially burned checks with his name on them. They said it was like the end of his first name and had Rogers and the end of his street address on them. Okay. So partially burned checks, and on his shirt, the tag sewn on the inside of the shirt had Ronald Rogers sewn into it. Oh. So it couldn't be more of an ID. Yeah. He might as well have like a hat on that says I'm Ronald Rogers and the Ronald Rogers Experience T-shirt on. So much identification for a murdered man left in a field that it's almost like, why does he have all that on him? Right. I get the shirt, but
Ronald Rogers and his mom's penmanship on his underwear, shit like that.
Shit like that, right. Yeah. So it's very interesting.
That is fascinating to have that on your shirt. I've never thought of that.
No, I think back then people might have
stitched in.
I don't know if that's because if you work somewhere that has lockers, maybe that sort of thing, kind of like in school, like in gym, you just write with magic marker on your shirt. Though
it's my shit.
Yeah, that's it. Whisman. There you go. So they did say that the investigation, part of the thing that was really hurting them was that people have placed him in different places at the same time on the night of that he was killed. So they're having a hard time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Figuring out where the fuck he was and when. Right. That's a problem. So they said the investigating officer said, quote, I have nothing I could release on anything at this point, and I would not characterize what I have as being nature of evidence that would result in an arrest in the near future. Okay. So basically, we have dick, is what that means.
I got nothing. I got a little bit, but it's not enough to do anything.
I would not characterize what I have as being of the nature of evidence that would result in an arrest in the near future is the longest way to say we have dick that I've ever heard. We don't have shit. Not a goddamn thing. So that's wild. The state police, everybody's involved in this whole thing. They find out the meal is corned beef and cabbage and carrots. That's what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. What he could have possibly had.
July. Bit late for St. Patrick's Day.
A little bit. Yeah. They said the time of death is about 9:30, give or take an hour, because you can't tell exactly. They're pending laboratory tests on material, but it's 1971, so really, what are they going to find out? Not a lot you're going to find out, except, he's an A positive. Great.
He had blood in him.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
We found out he was human and he ate food.
Red blood, corned beef, cabbage. That's
Bullets apparently hurt him. That's the other thing. A lot of bullets.
Real
not good for him.
susceptible to flames.
Yeah. Susceptible to bullets and flames, which was it was expected, but good to know. They also found out from a relative who Rogers had spoke with, a relative of his, that he, quote, might go away for a few days on his own. That was like the day before Saturday night. Might be going away for a few days on my own. Didn't say where he was going or anything like that, but he definitely had to be back Tuesday for his armed robbery trial.
Right.
So that might have been the few days. Maybe he figured I'll go,
enjoy freedom for a few more days.
Enjoy my freedom.
Yeah.
So, anyway, 3 years go by.
Wow.
Nothing happens.
Wow.
Nothing. They're just a bunch of shrugged shoulders. We don't know. Hopefully the case will crack, and it just kind of gets cold, and nobody really gives a shit about it anymore. Until 1974.
Okay.
When, remember Gaucher?
Remember him, yeah.
Remember Gaucher. Now, Gaucher, he's got a common law wife, for lack of a better term.
Oh, no.
Never actually officially married, but they have 2 kids together. They've been around for a while, so she took his last name.
Okay.
So they're not really married, but they're sort of married.
Basically married.
Now, the thing about that is that makes it easier to break up, obviously.
It does, yeah.
And that's what happens is he breaks up with her and takes the fuck off and leaves. And then she ends up taking the kids the other direction, and that's how it goes. Because, of course, he's got kids also, because all of these people have to have kids while they're doing armed robberies and everything else. This is Joan Crandall Gaucher. She said that she was very hurt when Robert Gaucher left her, but what she's about to say has nothing to do with that, because she would never implicate him in a crime he didn't commit.
Not a spiteful woman.
Not a spiteful woman.
Yeah.
I'm upset, but this is more about the world and justice. I didn't care about justice for the last 3 years,
right?
But now I'm concerned about it.
Got a real Batman thing about me.
Then again, if he is a murderer, you might be afraid of him. So you never know. That could go either way. Again, that's another one that could go either direction, equally the same.
Right.
So according to her, she says that they went to a local restaurant together, her and Gaucher, and on the 4th of July, and she asked him what was wrong. What's going on there, big guy?
What's the problem?
You looking down?
Yeah.
And she said he responded with, quote, I killed him.
Oh.
I killed him. She said, who?
Right.
I mean, that's an obvious question. He said, Rogers. He wouldn't listen to me. I tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't listen, which sounds like Rogers.
Yeah.
And she said that that Gaucher claimed that Rogers wanted to implicate him in the robbery as well. He said he was basically telling him, "Look, I'm going to tell them you were with me, and I'm going to get me a lower sentence."
Well, don't do that.
And
they can't get either of us. Remember the last one?
Hung jury.
Don't worry about it.
He thought they were going to get him, and he said, "Let's not do all of that."
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmie had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. Yeah. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. Yeah. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So this woman here, the Joan, she says that Gaucher said that that he took Rogers up to the mountain and he shot him. And that's what he said. He said, quote, or she said that Gaucher said he wouldn't be recognized because he set fire to him. Okay. So he didn't have to worry about getting caught because they just go, oh, he's all burned up. I guess we don't know who he is.
It's a hell of a theory.
Yeah, they're not even going to look into it. Just, oh, well. Damn it, he burned him.
That's what they do.
He burned him. That means we can't solve it. Never mind. Moving on.
Again.
Let's go write some parking tickets,
they
boys.
Keep burning them, you guys. How are we supposed to solve this?
It's over. It's part of the rules. If you burn them, we're not allowed to solve it. So, he said, though, they asked her, she said, he asked me to provide him with an alibi. Mm-hmm. So she did originally when everyone who knew Rogers was questioned. Yeah. She gave an alibi for that. But now, after he left her, she said that she needed to come forward. It was the right thing to do.
She's had enough.
Closure with the family and, all that stuff here.
A lot of pressure.
So they issue an arrest warrant for Gaucher. Not even that goes easily as well. They issue this arrest warrant. He's gone. He had just moved away. Really? So they don't even know where he is. So Vermont goes to the federal government and says, will you issue like a fugitive warrant for like a national thing? And they went, nah.
No.
They said, not really.
Doesn't sound like us.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like something we probably could do.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to right now,
Sounds like your problem.
That sounds like more of a Vermont problem. So that's what they do, essentially. Okay. They go, if you don't catch him in a reasonable time, then, come back to us and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, give us a call.
At least try first. You clean your room before you come and ask me to help you. That's what you say to your kids. If you clean it for a good hour, and then if you need some help, I'll come in and I'll move some of the big stuff around. But you're going to have to work on this on your own.
Yeah.
So the police, though, are very confident that they have a solid case. They said that they have this woman saying that Gaucher asked her to lie for him and admitted to the killing, so it's all good. The prosecutor says that she only cooperated with him, quote, because she loved him. Mm-hmm. She loved him. It was the love of a man keeping her.
A real sweetheart.
Together. Yeah. They lived together for several years and all that sort of thing. And in April 1974, Gaucher left, and then a month later, she was talking to the cops.
It took 4 weeks of raising 2 kids on her own to go, fuck this guy.
Yeah. If he wants to be on his own, I'll make him on his own. He's going to be on his own, all right. He'll have a roommate. That's the kind of
I'll get him some time alone.
I'll get him some time alone. So she said, within a month, quote, the burden became too great. That's what the prosecutor says.
Yeah.
And then she came back to tell the police all about it. Now, obviously the other side says that she changed her story when she found out that he had left her for another woman.
Oh,
that's
shit.
That's
there
what
it is. His
side's going. Actually, he walked out, found another woman, and she's jealous, and hell hath no fury.
You betcha.
So, like a woman who knows you committed a murder.
Hell hath no fury, like a woman who has some dirt on you.
Who knows you committed a murder? You're in deep shit. That's how it works, brother.
I do love that when celebrity couples break up and then all of a sudden you get all these bad stories about how much of a piece of shit Johnny Depp is.
This one's terrible, and then this one never takes a shower, and this guy's dick doesn't work. It's all, everything comes out. It's a mess. Never tell your spouse anything.
Never.
Hide.
Keep
Hide.
it away from them.
We live in another room. Come out, see them dressed very nicely once in a while, then go in your own room and lock the door. Because they're going to say bad things about you someday.
If you ever see them poop, you two know way too much about each other.
You need
It's
to be.
over.
You're going to be murdered in a ski resort. So at this point, they said, quote, her bitterness turned to revenge. And then asked the press, quote, is she worthy of your belief?
Yeah.
This one, who's just a
Scorned woman with clear reason to be upset and say things that are wrong.
And also, from the Gaucher team, they say that, listen, he couldn't have killed the Rogers because he and the missus were, quote, parking during the time the murder took place.
Yeah.
So him and his common-law wife were making out in the car somewhere, like they're fucking Rizzo and Kanicki.
Yeah, they were on make-out point somewhere.
The hell is happening here?
Boy.
So I don't think so. Now, the state contends that they have enough evidence to show that Gaucher picked Rogers up at his house around 5:30 p.m. They spent the next 2 hours in different places. One was the Amber Clown Bar. Jesus, Amber Clown? So it's at the Howard Johnson's restaurant.
Jesus.
A bartender would testify, told the police that he would be willing to, that Rogers was so nervous that he couldn't write out a check. Okay. He was shaking. His hands were shaking. He was very, very nervous. So they're still looking for Gaucher here because he moved away. Gaucher moved away.
He did.
He took off. They said all they know is he went out west somewhere, which is pretty big if you know the United States. It's not enough of it's not enough.
From fucking Vermont, everything's west.
You need to know exactly where out west is. There's a lot of land out there.
Yeah.
He could be anywhere. He could have turned Mormon. He could be in Utah. You never know.
He could be in western Vermont.
He could be a cowboy now. We have no idea what this guy's doing. So they end up trying. Still, they keep asking the feds to step in and issue stuff, and they're going,
we're a little busy.
A grand jury in the U.S. District Court failed to turn out a federal indictment against him, which is funny. They're just like, you should look yourself. I really feel like
failed
you should look
implies
yourself.
They gave it a run.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're like, I mean, they said that they want to hold off a bit. In case Gaucher is apprehended within a short period of time. Yeah. You take care of it and then come back if you need us.
He doesn't sound super dangerous. We're not going to do this.
Well, I mean, what he did was pretty dangerous, but that's the only time we think he did it.
Well,
so
that he's
good.
accused of. We don't even know that he did that.
By the way, this is about to get really crazy in a second here. I mean, this isn't like a simple, now he's going to go to trial and we'll talk about some legal shit. Oh, no. This is crazy what's about to happen. So he said that to have this grand jury and have all this wouldn't be economical, whatever. So they believe he fled the state, and they don't have any leads, and they have to find him. They eventually do find him in Clute, Texas.
Way west.
Out west.
Yeah.
Clute, Texas.
I don't even know where the fuck that is.
Clute.
Named
Clute,
after a
Texas.
dude named Clute. Mm-hmm. That's got to be like
Johnny Clute.
Mad rural near El Paso, right?
I have no idea. Literally, that could be right by Amarillo. I have no fucking clue where Clute is, but he's arrested there. So clearly he was hiding.
Yeah.
You don't go to Clute, Texas to start over again unless you're hiding, probably.
I imagine there's very few big job opportunities in Clute, Texas.
That's what I'm saying. So physical evidence, let's go over what they have here. They have pieces of his charred shirt, Ronald Rogers, a book of checks found on the body, a label sewn into the neck of the shirt reading Ron Rogers. The old part is burned, so just Ron Rogers. Part of the lettering was destroyed by the shotgun blasts, so bullet hole through the old of Ronald. The checks were badly burned, but the edges read Old Rogers and had Stratton Road, Vermont, which was his address. So reasonably sure that was that. So they have a chemist and a criminalist with the state police. He says that he thinks the body had been burning for 30 minutes, as opposed to the state's medical examiner thinks that the body had been burning for 2 hours.
My God.
Which is a long time for a body to burn.
It's also a big discrepancy between
a
the two.
lot. That's 4 times the amount. It's a lot. So they I don't know how a body would stay on fire for 2 hours without a shitload of propellant and a propellant being added.
Right.
Also, or at least other things around it, wood to burn it, something. Just
2 hours of something burning with paper in that fire. Generally, paper doesn't last.
No, it's quick.
Yeah.
It's going to go really quick, and the clothes weren't even all the way burned off for 2 hours, and the shirt didn't burn off. That's
I'd go more
great
with 10
material.
minutes.
That's what it seems like to me. They said that this medical examiner said he thinks 30 minutes, but really doesn't even know because he nor the state have no way of knowing that because there's too many variables involved in a burn situation like this. We don't know about propellants. We don't know about this, that. So they said the soil under the body, the type and amount of accelerator fluid, and the atmospheric condition in the area all are big factors in fires and how long they last. He did admit that he is not an expert on burns on the body, and then said that he said the state's guy might be right, but he doesn't know. He said, I don't think he is, but he might be. This guy seems way too sure of it. Basically, he seems so sure of it, I wouldn't believe him because there's no way to be that sure of it, essentially. So this medical examiner also, and the state medical examiner as well, also said that, in an odd thing, he didn't see the scars on the body that the uncle said he saw. He never saw those scars. He's like, I must have missed them, but I didn't see those scars that it said I was looking for. So let's talk more about the stomach contents, and I promise there will be no sperm heads involved. I swear. Like last week. Yeah. So he says the digestive tract contained beef or some other mammalian meat. So mammal meat. They said the red blood cells of chicken or turkey contain nuclei, while mammals' red blood cells do not. Okay. So that's how they know what kind of meat it is. The autopsy failed to really figure that out because they figured out that it was beef. The problem is here that they speak to a waitress named Virginia H. Page. She's a waitress whom Rogers was a regular customer for, came in the diner all the time, and she had no difficulty remembering that he was there that night that he died and what he ordered because it's his regular fucking order. So she knows what it is, and she knows what she fed him, and that was a hot turkey sandwich and a glass of milk.
Okay.
No beef at all.
Where's
no
the
carrots, no beef. None of that stuff. So they were like,
Yeah.
Now, this is 3 years ago, so they're like, maybe she's not sure. She could not be sure.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
the day before.
Could have been the day before, but she goes, no, because I remember I fed him that evening. It was only a couple hours before, and then I heard the next morning about what happened, and I was like, oh shit, he was just in the night before.
Right.
He was in hours before he was killed.
That you'd certainly remember.
She said in her mind, she thought I fed him his last meal. Holy shit. Like that was what she thought in her mind. Wow, that's crazy. I hope he liked it.
Has that ever...
Hope the turkey wasn't dry, sugar.
How many times has that ever happened in her lifetime? It's probably never happened.
You don't know. Maybe someone could have gone and blown their brains out after you ate their terrible food. I don't know.
But in the paper, this is the only one that sticks with me.
That's it. She said this was about 4 hours after the body or before the body was found.
Okay.
So about 6:30 at night. So that's last meal. He was eating, I doubt he would have eaten the hot turkey sandwich and glass of milk and then got another meal before he ended up dying, probably.
So that's a hungry man.
Yeah, we just ate turkey before we recorded this. We had turkey sandwiches, and I am full
I'm
still.
not eating till tomorrow.
No, there's a lot of turkey. And it wasn't even hot.
Right.
There's no gravy involved or anything. It was just on bread.
Of milk?
No, very good bun, though.
Holy shit.
Yeah, if you happen to be in the village of Wappingers, go to Chubby's Deli. It's very good.
Chubby's is fantastic.
Very good deli.
It'll make you very chubby.
He will chub you up.
Yeah.
So, and just a reminder, the medical examiner found corned beef and raw carrots in his stomach. Okay. So, no mention of raw carrots or anything like that. Yeah. Another thing in the autopsy that's revealed is they go over all the organs and they weigh them all. Right. They, see which ones are normal and all that sort of thing. They note in the autopsy that this victim had a spleen. Okay. Which is fine. Yeah. Lots of people have spleens. Sure. I have a spleen. You have a spleen? Yeah. We all have a spleen. One person, though, who does not have a spleen is Ronald Rogers.
Uh-oh.
Because Ronald Rogers had his removed in 1961.
Uh-oh. That was 10 years ago.
According to his medical records, he had his removed in 1961 after a medical problem.
Questionable.
So,
yeah.
There's some things here that the defense is like,
Uh-oh.
So we didn't do an identification other than the uncle who he grew up with, who I'm sure might want to could possibly help him.
Yeah.
You know, if he's going to go to prison for years, might help him in this way. The food doesn't match, and what are we talking about here? And he's already in the ground.
Right.
What are
we going to do now?
This is uncomfortable. So the prosecution's theory, like we said, Gaucher picked him up. They went to a bar about 5:30, spent the next 2 hours in the bar.
Yep.
That would contradict the waitress saying 6:30 he was in there eating a hot turkey sandwich. Bartender says he's so nervous he couldn't write out a check. Blah, blah. Okay, that's where that was. He's alleged to have taken Rogers to Roaring Brook Road on Killington Mountain and had him get out of the car. I don't know for what purpose, or I don't know if it was what the ruse was to get him out of the car, or if it was just get out of the car and he had a shotgun pointed at him.
Right.
Not sure, but doesn't seem to be any fighting with it. We don't know if maybe Ronald thought he could talk his way out of this or what was going on here. But apparently he couldn't because he was shot many times, set ablaze, obviously, and all of that. Now, the prosecution is going to argue that, because I have to get around the physical stuff here. They're going to argue that the spleen that was extracted, now this new one is an accessory spleen.
Oh, he's got an extra one.
Yeah, just like it sometimes grows in the place of your spleen, an accessory spleen.
Is that real?
Apparently, yes. It will grow back in its place, but it's not. It's way smaller than a real spleen, and it's noticeably smaller. Like a real spleen and that spleen aren't the same thing.
Got a baby spleen.
It's a baby spleen. Yeah, it's like a little like an ingrown spleen.
Yeah,
little ingrown spleen.
We are starfish in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So apparently, apparently, the medical examiner, the state's medical examiner, says that the spleen of this dead person was the spleen that they were born with.
Okay.
This is not an accessory spleen.
Yeah.
So their own medical examiner contradicts the main crux of their case, which is difficult.
It's his molar spleen.
It's his molar spleen. It's his adult spleen.
It's the big one.
It's his adult spleen. It's in deep by the roots.
Right.
They said, this guy said it was too big and heavy and not the right shape to be an accessory spleen. And the prosecutor appeared visibly upset at this pretrial testimony about this. Fucking guy, he's on our side.
Damn it.
So they said, they asked, based on medical evidence, is this victim's spleen the original one? And the doctor said yes. So that'll fuck your case good.
Ruins it.
Now, the defense theory is that there's no proof that the victim is Rogers, and they suggested that Rogers murdered a look-alike as part of a scheme to disappear away from his armed robbery trial and start a new identity and frame this guy for this.
Holy shit.
Now, they have witnesses, too, including Rogers' own cousin, who said that was his plan, and he had discussed this plan all along.
I should have never said that.
He's your kind of guy, Jimmy.
Oh, my God.
Now he's a Nazi who fakes his own death at this moment in time.
He's a bad man.
So in an attempt to discredit the prosecution, they call somebody in who say that Gaucher, this is the woman who said Gaucher was at her home around the murder. They both called her to say that same thing.
Jesus.
And then we're like, yep, that bolsters our case, just like we said. This was Mrs. Marion Perkins, who ran a taxi service for which Gaucher, not a tax service, a taxi service.
Right.
Did I say tax before?
Yeah, I was like, why is the tax lady got a taxi radio in her house?
I knew it was taxi, and I remembered saying tax, and I meant to correct it, and I got caught up on something else, so I apologize.
We're all caught up now.
All caught up. So then they said there's no direct evidence of a planned killing of, Gaucher planning to kill Rogers. The only thing they have on that is a, quote, revenge story cooked up by Gaucher's jilted lover.
This is a mess.
This is a fucking soap opera. This is amazing.
Yeah.
See what I mean? It was a slow cook, and I'm like, it's going to pop in a second. Relax.
It's really boiling.
This is boiling.
I can smell it.
Even more.
Yeah.
So she says, this is the Gaucher's ex, she continues to say on the stand that he said he did it in 1969. He also, Gaucher, admitted to her the robbery of the Ames Foodland as well.
So fucked.
And said that a number of people called, there's a question of who's trustworthy in this trial.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing you know, the cousin comes in.
Oh, boy.
This is Rogers' cousin now. She said that Rogers told her the week he was shot that if he ever needed to get away, he would shoot a man in Rutland who he knew and that looked enough like him that he could be his brother or twin.
Jam all my shit in his pocket, so I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, put a shirt on him with my label on it, my checkbook in his fucking pocket.
Peace out.
So he said he's had this guy basically clocked for years as like an escape plan. This guy has looked like him, and he goes, if I ever need to escape, I'm going to kill that guy and fucking set him on fire and take off. This is nuts, right?
I better hope Stanley Tucci or Murr from Impractical Jokers don't get into deep shit.
No shit. Jesus Christ. So he said that, he was going to burn the body on Killington Mountain is the other thing that he told her. So he told her the whole thing. This is Nancy Barker is his cousin. She also said that Gaucher had revealed a similar plan to her. Wow. The accused murderer, but he didn't have anyone in mind that looked like him. Okay. Whereas Rogers had the guy picked out already. He was like, I'd do that too. And they were like, well, who looks like you? He's like, well, I mean, nobody, but I can find somebody.
Pretty unique. I don't know.
If I find somebody, I'll do it. I'd do it. So Nancy Barker continues to say that this happened starting 6 months before the murder and then kind of right up until the murder. She said he was planning this whole thing. She called it an elaborate plan that he developed, and it was a local man. She said, like I said, it was a guy from Rutland, and he told his cousin everything would be arranged so that the body would be identified as his own. Told him my uncle works for the cops, so they're going to call him in to ID the body, and he's going to just say it's me because he's going to know that I'm taking off to get out of my shit.
Yeah.
So there is no scientific evidence so far, such as fingerprints, blood comparisons, or dental records to check to prove that he was actually Rogers.
They didn't even look at the teeth.
Didn't do shit. They just went.
Unbelievable.
Ed said it's him. No, well, Ed said so.
It says it's his kin. Just bury the fucking
He's been
kid.
working here for 5 years or something. We should believe him, probably.
He's a goddamn corporal.
Like he don't know what his own nephew looked like. Jesus Christ. So the defense attorney isn't accusing Edwin Hall, the uncle, of doing this on purpose. That's only the cousin who's accusing them. Yeah. The defense says that they believe that Hall maybe naturally assumed it was Rogers after seeing the label on his shirt that read Ronald Rogers. He was like, oh, well, that's my guy has those. So the trial comes around here, and the public defender, he argues that it is impossible for a reasonable jury to conclude beyond reasonable doubt that it was Ronald Rogers who was found burning, which, it's
true.
True.
Yeah.
He also argued that there's no evidence of premeditation. There's no basically evidence of much here other than this person said this. So
it's a lot of he said, she said.
A lot of that shit. So anyway, the prosecution said there is ample evidence to support the charge, and emphasized the testimony of Gaucher's ex, who said, he told her about it. That's basically all they have at this point here. Also said that it's possible, also citing the possibility that the spleen that they say isn't the right spleen could be the right spleen.
Okay.
So
maybe his baby spleen grows big. You don't know.
He's got a big fat baby spleen. We don't know what's going on there. So the judge ruled that the circumstantial evidence from which the jury could infer premeditation, so there was all the shit that they were letting in to say that they could charge premeditation. Now the spleen, the one medical examiner said, quote, Ronald Rogers would have to have been a medical one of a kind, basically, to have an auxiliary spleen that grows back the size and shape of the spleen found in the body here as a real one. So that's not really the way it works. The medical examiner says that basically this victim's spleen weighed 120 grams, while the largest auxiliary spleen he had ever seen discussed in medical literature is 70 to 80 grams.
So he's got the biggest one that's ever been seen.
He's the biggest auxiliary spleen ever in the history of the world, or it's not him. Okay. He also indicated that the auxiliary spleen would be an egg shape, and that this spleen was not an egg shape.
It's a pea pod.
I don't know what fucking shape it could be.
It's an L.
It's a star, Jimmy. Like you said, starfish. It's got So, also, this spleen was found in the normal splenic bed where a primary spleen would be located, as opposed to an auxiliary spleen.
Goes a little higher.
So they bring Uncle Corporal in.
Yeah, Uncle Perfect.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Uncle Corporal. This whole thing is such a fucking mess here.
I don't know how they get to the end of this. I'm riveted.
And it's 1974, so you just know nothing can just be solved by, we'll swab somebody and see who's related to who and who's got what. No, none of that shit is going on here.
None of it.
They literally called a guy in the middle of the night to come in his bathrobe and went, "That's my nephew."
Yeah. Got that when I shot him with the BB gun in the ass.
I see it. There's a Marine tattoo. Yep, that's him.
That'll do.
And they went, "All right, good. Charge that guy with murder." Like, to charge a person with murder, I don't mean to go sidetrack too much here, but to charge a person with murder, you kind of have to know that the person you're saying was murdered. Right. You can't just assume it and then charge a guy and have this whole backstory you made up when you don't even know if the guy that you think is dead.
Right.
It's fucking weird. So he testifies here, Uncle Corporal, that he looked at the corpse that had been brought to the funeral home because it was the next morning. And he said that the thing he noticed was, he said it was the prominent Adam's apple and cauliflower ears were things that I don't know if he was a wrestler or what. You have to be definitely like a hardcore, grappler to have cauliflower ears.
Also, fire kind of makes your ears look like that, don't they?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is it cartilage? Because cartilage and fire, it's not bone.
No, but fucking ears curl up pretty fast in a fire. I've seen people that were alive after a burn that have no ear because it all just curled and died.
I'm thinking of like dogs' pig ears that you give them and shit. That's a pig ear that's burned up, and pig skin and cartilage is the closest to human, so maybe that's similar.
It really turns into kind of a cauliflower-esque ear.
Yeah, I guess so. So he said that. He also noticed a scar on the corpse's face, and Rogers had a scar. He says the uncle said because of a fight in which he had been involved. That's where the scar came from. And he also said he recognized marks made from the removal of tumors from his arms. Okay. So he had tumors in his arms, and a Marine Corps tattoo, and several scars across his wrists as well.
He's really been through it.
Yeah, and I don't know how, on a glance, you're going to see all of these little scars on a burnt corpse.
Right.
On a corpse that the medical examiner said has been burning for 2 hours.
Right.
He's like, there's a little scar from a cyst removal on his arm.
That looks like cyst removal. That looks like cauliflower ear, and that there looks like suicide attempts.
Yeah. One of the other reasons why he said he knew it was him was the name tag on the shirt. Okay. He said, that it said his name. So all of those things, which I think that's kind of what he saw.
That's the easiest ones to see.
That's the one he saw. And he went, my nephew. And then was like, I saw all that other stuff too.
I'll slam all that in there.
And I'm not even... He could be covering for him or whatever in the story, or he could just be an uncle who doesn't want to look at his dead nephew anymore, and he says, that's him, it's him. It's him.
I'd rather look at a shirt that's on a corpse and say that name is exactly right.
Who knows? You don't know. I mean, just to give them the benefit of the doubt of him, not just being like, I'll help him escape.
Right.
He, so there's several facial neck features, all this sort of thing. He says, quote, I have no doubt at all that the body was Ronnie.
Yeah.
That's his testimony at the trial. No doubt at all. So we have, the lady who said that Gaucher was at her house, the taxi service lady, she testifies on cross-examination that now she wasn't sure what time he arrived or left. She did confirm that her house was 2 blocks away from the Foodland, and that would only take a couple of minutes to walk there from the house. So essentially, she is brought up by the defense and completely doesn't help them at all, and if anything, hurts them much, much worse
helps
than
the
ever.
Prosecution a lot. Yeah,
that basically made it. I don't know when he got there, and he could have robbed it and came right to my house, and I wouldn't have known. This is not great. So, and they have to set that up to set up the premeditation. Mm-hmm. So they have to prove this robbery, and they have to prove the murder, essentially.
This is 2 cases in one.
Yeah, otherwise, why the fuck would he kill him? Right. There's no reason at that point. Right. No motive. According to the woman here, on separate occasions, though, this is the cousin again, at trial, she says that both men had described an identical crime, that they said they would disappear, kill a lookalike. In court, this must have been some wild shit to sit and watch. Imagine if you're the jury.
Yeah.
In a small town in Vermont, you don't think that this is going to be exciting. You're like, I'm going to go do this. And then you have someone being like, they described killing a lookalike. He had a man in Rutland that he had all planned out. He was going to kill him and put his hat on him and his shirt on him. And it was going to be him.
I'm expected to go back and not talk about this with my family.
Yeah.
This is bananas.
This is crazy. They even got to the point of saying not only would they use killed lookalikes, but they would use a shotgun to do it because shotgun pellets would be way more difficult to trace to a specific weapon.
Way to go, Omar.
Much like Omar.
Yeah.
Wow. Some Omar shit going on in 71 Vermont. With Omar and flannel. That's what's going on here. Omar with ear flaps.
Yeah.
Ear flap Omar over here. That's what I'm calling Gaucher. Ear flap Omar.
Whistling hey diddle diddle.
Yeah. That's definitely hey diddle diddle, I would say. Holy fucking shit. And not only that, but they would then, both of them would take the corpses to Killington Mountain and burn them.
Wow.
So it's the exact same thing. They even said that it would be more difficult to make a positive identification if they were burned and easier for him to have somebody come identify him.
Yeah.
So they got it right down to that whole thing. Now, she could be full of shit or she could be on the money. We don't know. So the verdict comes in here for against Gaucher. It's 7 hours of deliberation, which
that is far too fast.
In our cases is slow, though.
Yeah.
In our cases, it's always like, 14 minutes later, the jury said death penalty. Like, wow, that's it, huh? Holy shit.
Pretty convinced.
Couldn't have talked about it for a minute, have a snack in there.
7 hours is fast as shit, though.
It is still fast to discuss this case.
Yeah.
In a straightforward murder case, fine, but this is what?
It's a lot of ins and outs.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd argue about, is it him or not, for more than 7 hours, I feel
Way
like.
too many what have you.
Yeah. We'll find out on social media when people here are going to be like, are you fucking, this wasn't him. So they end up coming back with a verdict. Now, if it is a guilty verdict, by the way, under Vermont law, it's an automatic appeal to the state Supreme Court for a murder conviction. So 7 hours later, they come back and say, guilty of murder.
Unbelievable.
Seems tough. That just seems like real tough to me.
How do you get there that
seems
fast?
Right? I mean...
it sounds like there was one holdout, and it took 7 hours for 11 guys to turn him.
Well, essentially, you either believe the whole plot or you don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, look at like the OJ case. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of little things you could have disbelieved to make it. If you're on a jury, if you saw all the coverage, obviously, but if you're limited to what was shown to you in court and you're in the jury, you know what I'm saying? There's pieces where you could go, well, what about the glove? Well, what about that? Shouldn't there have been more blood in the Bronco? Right. Shouldn't there have been this? Why you get blood here and there? Why was that there? How is it Mark Furman that he's the guy of the whole police department? There's a lot of different little things you can pick out where you don't really need to build a straw man. You can, there's enough pieces of enough appendages laying around where any one or two of them make it difficult
you don't need a straw man because you have a whole man.
You have a whole man. It's a lot.
Head, but also a whole man.
And a whole woman, as a matter of fact, as well. Minus a lot of blood and head.
And extra blood that happens to belong to one man.
Yeah. Somehow.
That's weird.
That's super weird. Whereas here, it's not really like that. You either believe that this is not Ronald Rogers, that he made up the whole thing, and he is now off into the wind while this guy is left to hold the bag for everything, or you don't believe that and you think that you believe what the state's telling you and you just fucking go through it and you say he's guilty.
Or you don't, or you think that the state is missing a lot of shit. This man ran to Cliffwood.
That's the other thing.
What was it?
Killington.
No, where'd he go in Texas?
Clute, Texas.
Clute, Texas. This is the first time anybody's ever heard of that town.
That's where he went.
That's why he went. He went there to hide. That's fuck all the evidence. The man was found in Clute, Texas. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, might as well be called fucking Hiding Place, Texas.
Yes.
Hidey Hole, Texas.
Might as well be called We All Killed Somebody Somewhere Else, Texas.
Hi, where are you from? Yeah? How many you kill? All right, I won't tell nobody. So, it's a lot to say. I mean, you can I don't know. I don't know what I would do if I was on a jury there because
it's too much.
To me, if I hear about that spleen, I'm going, how the fuck does he have a big spleen like that? What's up with that? 120 grams. I'm hitting the guy next to me going, 120 grams. That's a lot for an auxiliary spleen. Like I know about spleens, but I'd be a spleen expert by the end of it.
Holding an ounce of weed going, it was 120
like
of these?
100, wow, that's 120 grams. Yeah, 28 in an ounce. I mean, I can see that. 28 grams in an ounce. That's a lot of grams. This is like a half pound of weed here. It's a lot of weed. So, I'm sorry, spleen. So he's found guilty, and he's going to be sentenced. Okay. And the trial, by the way, doesn't take place till 1977.
Jesus.
So he's being sentenced in early 1978.
For 7 years ago.
7 years after the trial. So it comes out, though, March 15th, 1978. Mm-hmm. Out of nowhere. Do you think the case can't get any fucking weirder? Yeah. It just got a little bit weirder.
Who got arrested?
Well, nobody. They confirm that there is a report from a man who has known Rogers his whole life and used to work with him that he is not dead, actually, and seen alive and well shopping at a Montgomery ward in Burlington.
You son of a bitch. He stayed in Vermont.
So here this goes.
Shopping at Montgomery ward.
They file a motion for a new trial based on this, on newly discovered evidence. The evidence is that, wow, this is wild, man. The guy's name is Robert E. Johnson of Rutland. He's known Rogers for 10 years, and he believed that he saw Rogers on January 5th, 1978 at Woolworths at 32 Church Street in Burlington. Okay. He subsequently contacted the Rogers family and said, hey, I think I just saw your boy alive, and nothing happened there. So then he contacted the attorney for Gaucher. And in the motion, they said, quote, this sighting is material to the issue of whether it was Ronald Rogers' body that was found in Sherburne, which that's what it was called at the time. The evidence is not merely cumulative or impeaching. It could not have been discovered by due diligence prior to trial. Let's get into this in a second here. Johnson said, quote, I just want it known that I did, this is what I saw. And the crazy part comes when fucking okay, the reason why this becomes an issue is because this guy also called the prosecutor. The prosecutor did not return his phone call.
Doesn't want anything to do with this.
Doesn't want to do anything to do with this. So this guy called the prosecutor. He doesn't return his phone call, which then makes it a Brady violation because he's withholding possibly exculpatory evidence. If someone's seen the dead guy alive,
that's a problem.
The prosecutor is under, they have to. It's their duty. They don't just, confirmation bias you can't do if you're a prosecutor. That's the thing. Like, I get in real life you can't help how your brain works, but if you're prosecuting a case, you have to turn over every stone. You can't just look for the information that you like better. It's not your it's not your grandfather watching politics. It's
and
fucking,
as a prosecutor, you won that case, so go chase this shit down and win this case too and exonerate the fellow that you just...
Or investigate it. Not only that, if the guy, let's say this guy's right and this guy is alive, aren't you pissed if you're a prosecutor that this guy is escaping armed robbery prosecution by fucking setting up somebody else? Oh, not to mention, that means he killed a guy. He's also a murderer at that point.
Murderer.
So you'd want to figure that out. I would. I'd at least want to figure it out. But they're so not wanting to fucking lose this appeal on this thing that they're like, it can all be true. Maybe he killed people and he's not alive at the same time. He's dead and he's a murderer. Both of those things. So, the attorney, this is the defense attorney, said, quote, I don't know why Ronald Rogers is hiding other than he doesn't want to be caught for killing his lookalike. So Gaucher is still, set to be sentenced and everything. And the defense says we will present evidence in support of this claim and we will get the conviction of first-degree murder, throws out, and he has a mandatory life sentence at this point.
Wow.
So you, sir, may fuck off. Then December 24th, 1978 rolls around. Okay. Christmas Eve. What do you think of when you think of Christmas Eve, Jimmie? Family,
late shopping,
jingle bells,
because I'm a dad.
Food. You come to my house a lot. There's food going on and family stuff, and there's presents,
great songs,
just things happening.
The music.
We're not religious at all. It's just a matter of I like food and I like presents and stuff. And,
cheers me up. We wrapped up
trees and shit.
We did it again.
Yeah, hey, we all survived. It's fun.
Make up the lamb chops.
You think of that. Now that's a Christmas Eve like we've had and like a lot of people have. And even if your life isn't that great, you try to pull it together. There's a couple days a year where you try to pull it together. Maybe someone's got your kid's birthday or some shit. Christmas Eve, you try to pull it together. There are some people out there that had a way worse Christmas Eve than most people could imagine.
Tell me more.
We're talking like a Dickens level bad Christmas Eve right here. How'd you like to be on exhumation duty on Christmas Eve?
Oh, Christ.
Of a 7.5-year-old burned corpse.
Dig it up.
How the fuck would you like to do that?
How did they not just say, we'll do it in 2 days?
As you're pulling on the fucking rope? What, are you kidding me? Are you wearing a Santa hat while you're doing this? This is ridiculous. You'd have to be so hammered. I picture like Dan Aykroyd and fucking Trading Places with the Santa suit, and he's taking salmon out, and there's beard hair caught in it, and he's just pulling the rope of the fucking casket.
The brothers from...
The Criterion brothers from fucking Funny Farm.
Pulling a body out, talking about...
While Chevy Chase drinks in the rain out of his flask. That's what's going on here, I figure.
Dickle.
How do you not do that?
That's all you got to do.
It's Christmas Eve. Right. I don't want to see a fucking corpse. What are we doing?
I am a poor boy too.
At least I don't have to exhume a big corpse. I have to check his spleen. To make sure it's big. Oh, God. What is happening?
Some tickle too. Will you please drink with me?
Oh, God. This is horrible.
Present. That's an unwrapping.
Oh, man, this is quite an unwrapping. Yeah. I mean, this is, I've never had to dig a present out, but they had to apparently. Yeah. This is a way of unwrapping.
This is when your mom gives you a gift wrapped in like a layer of wrapping in a box, then you unwrap another layer of wrapping in a box, and on and on and on until you get to the spleen.
Until you get to a nice big fat.
Until you get to the gift you didn't want today
the
anyway.
Auxiliary spleen. So they dig up the corpse. And this is actually the state's attorney requests this. It's like they all got together. They didn't want this all to happen, and they went, you know what? We got to do it. No choice. We have to. Yeah. I guess we should know who the fuck we have here. So they pull him up, and everybody, this is like shitloads of people here, officials, police people, the defense team, the fucking judge, everybody's here on Christmas Eve watching this corpse be pulled from the bottle. What a fucking disaster. They pull him up.
Yep.
And at first it wasn't released publicly why they were even doing this. And then they figured out obviously why. And the reason is to check the dental on it. The teeth are there. That's one thing we can still do. There's no DNA obviously back then, but we can check the teeth. And what they find is, through the teeth, they find that it is Ronald A. Rogers.
Oh, my God.
Based on dental records. It's him.
How the fuck?
Somehow it's him. It's based on the dental records. It's the guy.
He has unbelievable spleen.
He has an anomaly spleen. He has a fucking anomalous spleen that does not want to agree with the laws of nature or medicine. So, it's a fucking trip, but it's the truth. It's Ronald Rogers.
And he doesn't shove at Montgomery Ward.
Nope, it's him. Apparently, he just had his checks on him and his shirt on, and that was that. I mean, all of these things that pointed to this can't be him. No explanation of the food. Yeah. That's the thing. The only explanation is the waitress was mistaken.
She missed a day.
She missed a day, and
he didn't eat there that night.
That's what it is, because he wasn't there all the time, and he could have come in the night before that, and she could have got her nights mixed up, especially 4 years later.
Right.
This is one of those things that we've talked about where memories, our human memories, are terrible.
It's bad.
They're really bad. Yeah. The fucked up part is your brain doesn't decipher between something you sort of remember and you think you remember and something you definitely remember. Yeah. Your brain just fills the gaps in it does it for us to try to make us feel okay, but it doesn't help us remember shit because then we kind of make up what's in the middle, and our brains are bad at this sort of thing, and time going by is really bad.
It's a protection method.
It is.
Your body is trying to protect you.
Yeah.
Whether it's a memory that's happy or a memory that's sad. It changes shit just to make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
That's it.
And your brain doesn't tell you how unsure it is.
No.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Your brain's not
We are
like, I think I
60%.
remember 55%. Your brain either knows it completely or doesn't know it at all.
Right.
That's it. So if you believe that's your memory, then that is your memory. And in your brain, you can see it happening. You have a memory of it that doesn't exist because your brain put it there,
Crazy.
but you don't know that. Right. So, and we've all done it. And it's crazy. Yeah. So, and it happens so much. That's why eyewitnesses are the worst thing.
Unbelievable.
In criminal trial. They're the worst, but they're the most impactful.
Yes.
Eyewitness accounts are better than DNA in court for a jury, but yet they are the least accurate thing possible. But
really, all you know for sure is that person feels it that way. Mm-hmm. That's all you know.
You sit there on a jury and you believe a person is because they believe it. They're telling the truth, right. How they believe it.
Yeah.
I believe I saw this, and I know I saw it. And you see that, and you go, that person really believes
They're
it.
They're passionate.
That means nothing. The amount of passion they have, or the amount of sureness, is very insignificant. Super insignificant, as we're finding out in this.
Very sure that Sinbad was in a genie movie.
They're positive. They'll argue with you even though they know it's not true.
It was not there.
They look it up and see it's not true, and they go, it's being hidden. They don't, their brains.
No, it's not.
They can't process thing that you get, your brain is planted in there.
It's wild.
Never believe your brain.
Never.
That's why they say believe half of what you hear, or half of what you see and none of what you hear.
Right.
Because half of what you see, you've processed it wrong, even though you think you have.
Right.
We have. I'm not saying you.
Right.
Well, we do it.
All of
Our
us.
brains,
Yeah.
any human being in history has done this in their brain. It's pretty fucking crazy. Your brain is like a misfiring computer all the time.
It's worthless.
Like a computer with a virus in it at all times, and you're like, there's a file missing and it's broken, and you got to try to play it anyway.
But I hope you're enjoying all the words and words and lyrics of November Rain.
But yeah,
that you downloaded on LimeWire.
You do remember that forever.
You ruined that computer.
You'll remember that for the rest of your life. I can tell you every statistic of everybody in the 1990 New York Yankee batting order, but I don't remember what I did 3 days ago. So I really don't.
Yeah.
Was it that week or that week? I'll be positive, and then I'll have proof I was wrong. It's crazy. So anyway, there's an appeal. Even though they know now that it is Ronald Rogers for sure, the appeal is based on the guy who said he saw Ronald Rogers alive, and it wasn't followed up on by the prosecutor. Okay. So this guy isn't some dirtbag. He's a employee of the New England Telephone Company. He's a supervisor there. He's a member of the Rutland Town School Board. Okay. So he's an upstanding guy, and he had worked with Rogers at Pico Peak ski area, and last saw him in about 1971. He said, which was before he died, as we know now. He said that, seeing him prompted him to call. He said that he worked with him during the winter of 67, 68 and had known him before that. He said that he saw the man in Burlington. He met him face to face on the stairway in a Woolworth's. I'm sorry, not a Montgomery. Defunct department store.
Same store.
Who gives a shit? Yeah. Same shit that I don't know what they had because it was already pretty much out of business by the time I was around.
It's a Sears. That's what it is.
Yeah. They sell tools, and you can buy tires there and a couch.
And a goddamn washing machine.
And
get
some
your Whirlpool
clothes for your grandma.
Yeah.
Saw him at a Woolworth's department store stairway, and he said he saw Ronald Rogers. He said he didn't speak to the man, even though he thought he was murdered.
Face to face.
If you saw somebody that you knew that you had heard was murdered, wouldn't you be like, Ronald, you're alive? Right. And he'd be like, I'm Frank. Oh, my bad. Shit, sorry.
I had a friend who was working on his car. The car fell on his head. I knew he was dead. I went to his funeral. I saw a very similar looking kid in a grocery store, and I was like, what? And he looked me in the face. I was like, never mind. That's not you.
I've done the same thing.
It's because I want him to be alive. I'd love that.
And that's the fucked up part. I've done the same.
That would be great.
I've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
I've actually walked up to somebody once. Didn't say anything, but I walked up and stood in front of them and then realized I was crazy. And I actually, on the way over there, I went, did he fake his death? I literally did. Because the person I'm talking about, it's not Rod, by the way. It's a different person. The person I'm talking about was the type of guy who would do some weird shit like that just because he thought it was cool. Like, if he could get away with it, he'd pop up like 2 years later and be like, I faked my death. cool, right?
Can you believe
just for no fucking reason. Like, just to...
Were you running
Yeah.
from the law? No.
Fuck,
Jesus,
no. It's upstanding as shit. He
How
would
much
have just...
did you hate your wife? Not at all. I loved
He
her.
wasn't even married. He would have just done it just to be like, fucking cool, right? So I could see that, and I actually thought, oh my God, did he fake his fucking death? And I walked up like excited and angry at the same time, and this person looked at me, and I just was like, excuse me, and I walked. There was nobody around.
For me.
Dude, there was nobody.
Right for me.
Totally open thing. I walk right up to a person and say, excuse me, and walk around them. Like I couldn't avoid them, and they looked so confused. And I just kept going. I felt so embarrassed.
I just said, what?
Yeah.
What do you... I'm sorry. No,
Oh, my bad.
Not you.
Whoops. I thought you were dead, and never mind.
Sounded like I just mistook something he said for insulting. What?
What? Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck are you saying?
Is that you, bitch?
God damn it, Brad. No, never mind.
That's amazing.
Forget it. I'm a nut.
He says he didn't speak to him, but he believed it to be him because, quote, he saw how intense his eyes were and his eyes and his thin nose. He said he had very distinctive features. He said, quote, and there's something about his eyes, you just remember him. When you see somebody like that, that's really striking. He was a very intense-looking person, and it also wasn't him. That's what I mean. When you see there's something about his eyes that you just remember him. No, you think you do because we're people, and we suck, and we're mammals, and we're not as good as, we're not computers, and we think we are.
Intense eyes, Jesus.
He was a very intense-looking person.
Get away from that man. He's about to open you.
Maybe that's why he didn't talk to him.
Yeah. Your brain told
He's
you,
like,
don't talk to this man.
This intense son of a bitch over here. What if the guy he saw happened to be a murderer
Right.
too? That would have been real fucked up. So this guy confirmed though that he contacted the state's attorney's office, left his name, phone number, and a message that he had seen someone that strongly resembled Rogers and he possibly has some information that the guy might want to look into. And that phone call was never returned by the state's attorney, which is pretty fucking stupid.
Shitty, yeah.
So goes to the state Supreme Court where they overturned the verdict
Because of the discovery?
because of that discovery.
Oh, my
He
God.
didn't give him the fucking information, even though it was information that was garbage that we now know was still information he needed to put out. So the prosecutor's got to be kicking himself in the ass for not just doing it and exhuming the body to fucking begin with.
Right.
So instead, he does all of that. There's a new trial, obviously. Before this new trial, though, they offer a really sweet deal to Gaucher, and he pleads guilty.
Really?
He won't admit the crime, but he pleads guilty because the deal is just too sweet to turn down, basically. Yeah, almost, essentially, here. He pleads guilty. He doesn't have to allocute, doesn't have to say he did anything here. Pleads guilty to second-degree murder here. Prosecution says, obviously, that this was the funny thing is they're making this deal even though they're saying this was a premeditated killing to prevent someone from testifying against him in an armed robbery, which would be like...
That's insane.
That's the highest form of murder prosecution there is, to shut a witness up.
That's horrible.
Instead, they're like, we can just plea him out, though. So, wow. So they... his conviction was overturned. The more time that goes by, the more muddy shit there is in the waters and shit like that. They still have waitresses saying that she sold him turkey. So all this stuff, he refuses to admit it. He pleads guilty to avoid the life sentence. The county attorney said that he agreed to the reduction of everything because the state's star witness, Gaucher's former girlfriend, had left the state and refused to come back to testify for a second trial.
Oh, my God.
She said, nope, I'm good. And they said, well, we kind of don't have anything else.
Right.
Because there's no physical evidence. Literally, all we have is you saying that he told you he did this. That's it. That's the only thing we have connecting them.
Yeah.
She's not coming back. So, but the deal they offer him, pleads guilty. You, sir, may fuck off. He waives his right of appeal, obviously, on this. He is sentenced to 10 to 12 years in prison, but with time served, because he's been in there for fucking 6-8 years at this point, he'll be eligible for parole in 5 years and 4 months.
Holy shit.
So a 5-year murder is not too shabby. Even if they don't parole him in 5 years and 4 months, he'll be released On out completely done time, 6 years and 10 months is the longest he could spend in prison on this. So the defense attorney said they were going to fight the whole thing, but he said that the deal offered was, quote, so favorable in terms of a sure release date that they had to accept it.
No choice.
You have to. You never know. Why would you go through the trial? He's been in there forever. You go, do another 6 years and it's over. There was even parole after that. You're released. You're out.
But the chance of acquittal is so good.
It's great in this situation, especially with no witness.
Right.
So he's in prison. In prison, Gaucher writes letters to the newspaper editors about certain issues, and you want to hear them? Because why not?
Yeah.
Guy sitting in prison with all the time in the world. One of them is actually for John Liccardi, the guy who prosecuted him, is apparently a defendant in a case here, and he writes a letter. This is in November of 1981, and the title is Acquainted with the Defense Lawyer. It says, in the Burlington Free Press the past few days, I read articles concerning Charles Wade, but most interestingly was that of the attorney for this defendant, John Liccardi. Okay, he's his attorney. He used to be a prosecutor. Now he's a defendant, or he's a defense lawyer, attorney. Which happens all the time. When people want to make money, then they go, go do that. He says, the case has a familiar ring to it in it for me, not so much as to the nature of the offense, but more in tune with Liccardi declaring his client innocent, and the state failed to prove their case against his client, except by mere circumstantial evidence. The real difference here is he is doing the defending instead of the prosecuting. I can only assume he must have established a good format for his predecessors, and most important of all is where and how to get a conviction where no evidence exists. Perhaps Lee Jones can be of some assistance to him again. The article concerning Wade on October 30th in the Free Press states he would like to write his own version of his predicament. I think he should also include the story in the real judicial process of Vermont, since he has a former prosecutor representing him. But then again, who really gives a damn? A Vermont jury consists of 12 people who believe a crime has been committed. The individual being tried is guilty because the prosecutor said so. And besides, I have to get home by dinner time. Robert Gaucher, St. Albans Correctional Facility.
Oh my, ramblings of a madman.
This one's even better. This is called Hate Factories.
Oh, yes.
It's like his belly of the beast, basically, here. I feel it is very strange. Wait, this is from 84. So this is like the end of his sentence here.
Almost done.
I feel it is very strange that many letters are sent to the editor for publication expressing the conditions of corrections. Very few are printed, and even less are acted upon. I realize the inmates are dealing with an apathetic society, but I also realize corrections has been ripping off the taxpayers of this state for years.
Yeah.
And the more the taxpayers are ripped off, the more they seem to enjoy it. That's kind of true, though.
Yeah.
Good point. The taxpayers of this state condone the fact that corrections always wishes to expand their enterprise as to warehouse more inmates. A close observation of these correctional centers will reveal them to be hate factories rather than correctional institutions. The present system is not creating better men for society, but rather they are creating the future criminals of tomorrow. Sure. This system is a way of bringing out the worst in a person, and not for the purpose of dealing with the problem. When your hate and anger reaches its peak, the inmate will once again be released to society to play havoc on some poor citizen who doesn't realize his or her tax money was spent to make this person a more hardened criminal. Yeah, it's called recidivism. It's constant. A tour of any center will also reveal the majority of inmates sitting around vegetating. The superintendent of these centers give textbook lip service to all tourists, so by the end of your tour, he'll have you wishing you could spend some more time in one of these centers. Inmates are not allowed to speak to visitors, and if permission is granted, the questions must be screened through the superintendent first. And of course, you will be informed that we, the inmates, will do nothing but lie to you. Senator Peter Welch called this the Department of Construction. He is more nearer to the truth than he realizes. Take a look at the Windsor Farm. Take a look at St. Albans. In 10 years that St. Albans will be the state prison, in 10 years that will be the state prison for this state. That will be. But he doesn't.
St. Albans.
Yeah, he writes that weird, though. That's a weird. They are slowly but methodically building it so as to not attract attention of the townspeople. Oh my! St. Albans was to be the youth center they are now asking for at Essex Junction. If it is approved, the people of Essex Junction may well get used to the hate factory in their midst.
Hell yeah!
Wow. The latest burden upon the taxpayers is the THC test to be conducted regularly. The cost, enormous. They're going to test them for weed in jail. That matters. Then the constant transporting of inmates all over the state. Basically, it serves no purpose. They will tell you it's to place a man in his own hometown. A survey of the inmates will reveal that to be false. Every program this system has for inmates is really self-serving, plus it doesn't cost anything. They will tell you of the sports program, but they neglect to inform you that the equipment is purchased from the profits of our own money through canteen services.
Is that real?
Apparently so. Most decent men quit their job with corrections, and others are afraid to talk in fear of losing their job before finding a better one. And others keep this job just because they are on an ego trip. Inmates won't talk for fear of retaliation, fear of being transferred to St. Albans. If society is so concerned about crime, then they should be more concerned about these hate factories and the negative results that come out of them. Robert Gaucher, Windsor Correctional Facility in Windsor. So that's him.
He knows that it's not corrections.
He knows it's not corrections, and presumably he got out from there and, I don't know, led a quiet life of getting into car accidents and being fined for getting into
stop signs,
grocery store parking lot car accidents. But he's away. Apparently, Ronald Rogers is definitely dead.
Yep.
I guess, and
him and his enormous spleen.
Him and his huge fucking spleen.
Auxiliary spleen.
And we suppose that he killed him, I guess, maybe. Gaucher.
That's the
sort
accusation.
I don't know.
We don't know.
It. He pled to it, so we'll say, yeah, I guess. Wow. But there's really no evidence except for
who knows?
The ex-wife saying he told me that, and after he went off with some broad to Texas. So who the fuck knows what happened?
He did go to Clute.
Yeah, he ran away. Clute.
To Clute?
To Clute, Texas. So, I mean, get a Clute, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing? He's fucking, I don't know, but not a lot of evidence there. Who knows? All we know for sure is that Ronald A. Rogers died.
Yes.
That's it. We know that for sure.
A horrible death.
Someone definitely killed him.
Yeah.
That was not a suicide. We know that for
really
sure.
Really bad death.
Really bad death. And that, everybody, is Rutland, Vermont. And like I said, Vermont never lets us down. It's always nuts in Vermont for some reason. Every time we're there, it's fucking crazy. I have another case in Vermont that's even fucking crazier.
Really?
That's like not even crazier, but pretty crazy too. I have like 2 more for the next time we do Vermont, and
Marky.
It's so nuts there. I don't know why. It just, the cases, you end up with these weird little like pockets of West Virginia. These cases come out of. So whatever it is, thank you so much for listening to it.
Truly.
If you enjoyed that show, you can tell us, and you know what? More importantly, never mind us, tell the world about it.
Please.
Get on whatever app you're on, whatever you listen to, whatever platform. Give us 5 stars or 10 stars or however many stars they're allowed to take, and you give them all the stars they can handle.
Put them right in there.
Put them right in there. And whatever words you can say, and it helps drive us up the charts. It really does. Another thing you need to do if you want to help the show, and this will help immensely, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com
Hell yes.
right now. Get your tickets for the virtual live show.
I can't wait.
If you're listening on the day this came out, on a Thursday, it is tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, or you can see it anytime for the next 72 hours after that as well. It'll be available to purchase, watch, do all that sort of thing. It's going to be so much fun. A real episode of Small Town Murder. It'll be we'll have pictures, we'll have tons of jokes, lots of good stuff. It'll be a live comedy show in your house. We set up, Sarah went crazy with the set. How cool is it in there?
Yep.
She did it up, and we have new lights, the mic, the sound is better, the visuals are better, the lighting's better. Everything is better. We've invested in this, so
it
please,
looks terrific.
We really, really want you to check it out. We think you're going to love it. Shutupandgivememurder.com right now on September the 16th, 2021. Get your tickets right now and do that. And even go into the group. Some people are buying each other tickets if people can't afford them. That's a really cool thing that you're doing.
Unbelievable.
That's just wild. Thank you for doing that.
That's the generosity of this audience is staggering.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we're really blown away by that. That's really cool that you do that. Also, you should follow us on social media. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, and at Small Town Murder on Instagram, so you can get updates to everything. Patreon is cooking this week. I mean, it's bubbling. It is an out-of-control cauldron of bubbling this week. We have such good stuff. And the way Patreon works, in case you're new to this, $5 a month is the basic for the
baseline.
That's the baseline that gets you everything, that gets you access to all the bonus episodes from Small Town Murder and Crime and Sports. And most of the Crime and Sports ones are not about sports. They're about weird stuff.
It's about fun stuff.
Crime and weird stuff and comedy, basically. Yeah. So you're going to get everything. We do basically 4 shows a month, 2 shows every 2 weeks, bonus-wise. You're going to get access to all of it, the whole back catalog, and there's a lot in there, too. There's at least, I think, 100 episodes in there to listen to. Everything for just $5 a month. And this week, Crime and Sports, the episode we're doing, is a guy named Barry Bremen, who in the late 70s and 80s decided to be an imposter. He would dress up, and he actually got onto the field.
Started as a gag
Where he warmed up with for the second half at the 79 All-Star game with the All-Stars, because he had this warm-up uniform on. And he has a personality that the guys weren't even mad at him. They thought it was funny. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was high-fiving him and shit and thought it was funny.
He's got a face that's just so non-threatening.
It's non-threatening.
You just let him into anything.
And he said, sorry, guys, I'm not here to hurt you or anything. I'm just having some fun. And they were like, this guy's funny.
All right, do it.
He did this at several sporting events to varying success. Sometimes he was hogtied and taken away, and sometimes he was laughed and it was all good. The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. To the point where he, and this isn't on purpose, he did it as a prank, he accepted the Best Supporting Actress Emmy Award to the non-delight of the woman who was supposed to get it, who was very upset. So check all that out. It's so amazing. The Master Imposter, Barry Bremen. Then for Small Town Murders, we have something even crazier. If you've listened for a while and you do have Patreon, you've known that we did the Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker childhood episode, and that was just very interesting to get into that.
Wild.
This week, we're going to do something even crazier. We're going to do the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski's childhood.
Oh, boy.
What made a monster? What made a guy who killed over 100 people, who had the most creative and disturbing ways to kill a person, something that a horror movie writer would only dream to have a creative mind of how to hurt people like this. What causes that? We're going to find out all of that and more at patreon.com/crime and sports. And in addition to that, Jimmie is going to mispronounce your name here in a second when we do shout outs.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to try hard to get it right, but he won't. He won't, because it's hard. Names are hard. So, and if you just want the shout out and to have great karma and our undying affection, you can do that as well over at PayPal using our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. That said, you know what? I need good things.
Oh, I got it.
Tell me about good things, Jimmie. Hit me with the name of the people who would never, ever shoot us and set us on fire in full view of a ski lift. Hit me with them now.
This week's executive producers are Amanda Jacobs, Travis Croxford, Kevin Spilker in Spokane. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you,
Thank
man.
you.
Jordan Bennett, obviously, every
she's
goddamn
the best.
week. She's
Thank
terrific.
you, Jordan.
Joanne Ahern, Christian Pinella, and Sarah Gillette passed away.
Oh, no.
I have
Well,
her
we're
daughter's
sorry
name.
about
Where
that.
the fuck did it go? Either
That's
way,
terrible.
But Sarah loved us, and she was somebody's mom. Obviously, not obviously. Not everybody's a mom.
Not everybody's
but
a mom.
She was a mom, and
if her daughter, if her daughter is doing this for her, then clearly she has children. Yeah, and is probably a mom.
And we miss her.
We're so sorry to hear that.
And,
no, it's terrible.
Yeah, I wish
sorry
we'd
for
met
your
her.
loss. Yeah,
Apologies.
definitely.
Wish we'd met her. Other producers this week are Pixie De Leon, Jay Killalea, Tiffany Gonzalez, and she donated in the name of Andrew Jackson. Thank you, Tiffany.
That's very sarcastic. Go back and listen to old episodes if you do of Small Town Murder.
Liz Vasquez.
Liz.
Not Elizabeth.
We like Liz.
James Martyr, Thomas Smith, Mark and Karen Hummel, Peyton Meadows. She wanted us to shout out 9/11 service work. I don't know if she meant like waiters and waitresses.
I assume I'm going to go with probably the first responders and military people who then went overseas.
She's right, though. Aaron Olin,
shout out to them.
Marcel Destin and Delilah Destin. It's her birthday. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday
from Mom and Dad, obviously.
From Mom and Dad.
Dances with Vapes. Steve Schnell, Jennifer Ward, Nicholas Cosgrove, Rabbi Shmulovich.
Of course.
Shitta Perlman, Kelsey Couts.
Sheeta.
It's Shitta.
Shitta.
That's what he said.
Should have went with Sheeta, and that way we.
Jennifer Stevens, Frank the South African birdwasher, Sally Pigeon, after a birdwasher. That's nice.
Oh, okay.
Eugene Martin. I don't remember. I don't know if that's a typo or not. Jude Kendall, Jeff Spicoli, and Mr. Hand, Janice Hill, Azazina Morales. Kevin Spilker donated both ways.
Thank you.
Deck
So
Meadows
much.
Studios, Samuel Young, Chris Grace, Lindsay Buntrock, Charlie Burr, James Martyr, I said that, Taylor Bunker, Jess Osborne, Paul Bestow, Oliver Hoare, Matthew Jacobson,
Here they come.
Lisa Miller, Ian Hoare, Kelsey Graves, Maddie Mae Larson, A.K. Hoare, Matt Boger, Danny Casillas, Rebecca Monzon, Ben Grundy, Scott Caruso, Sean Silberman, Kieran Hoare, Mandy Hoare, Cecilia Marie, Molten Cow 22, Matadori, Sin, Bailey Schnippel, Tyler Wilson, Gino Santangelo, Ben Spencer, Ed Gray, Lucy Soar, Angela Glart, Clark Stone, Doug Hoare, Alex Wells, Alejandro Aguilar, Declan Atkins, Kayla Coe, Heather Fiddler, Ryan Bowen, Katie Artato, Flower Whore, Marie Stackhouse, Kay Hara Whore, Taylor Weir, Megan Angler, Jared Hoffman, Faye Fuller, Taylor Johnson, Stephen Texiera, is that how that's pronounced?
Mark Teixeira?
Yeah. Larisha Shante, Michael Watson, Emily Bowler, Natasha Rodriguez, Anna, Cora Shilalova.
Yeah.
Ian Cross, Christopher Shore, Sydney Heath, Monica Jimenez, Chuck Persian, Bart, nope, that's Mark Bust, CJ Massey, Natural Beef, Ivy Brownell, Ashley McDowell, Tim Grady's, Seth Solomon, Daniel Cheatham, Life Through a Windshield. I think that's his book.
Yeah.
I think so. Taylor Swift, Anna Phillips.
Thank you, Taylor Swift.
Dallas Beaker, Kimberly Mutt Savage Caddy. Oh, boy. Braylon Rogers, Joey Hepler, Christy Hoare, Andrew Ralston, and Alexandra Schwartz, Pete Stevens, Christina Collins, Matt Wheeler, Matthew of Madison, Zoe Clinton, Christina Matthews.
The Madison Matthews.
Yeah, that's right. Heather Stewart, Chelsea Carroll, S&M Cranes, Austin Farrell, Teresa Thompson, Tyler Owens, Christina Nelson, Holly White, Sean Morton, Benny Karras, Francis Yates, Hey Jimmie, Take a Breath, Rob Wilson, Michael Ziegelbauer, AMG Field, Christina, nope, that's Cynthia, Ball Pettit, Killian Cahill, Stephen Presley, Wade Garn, Zara Khan, Franco Chan, Brittany Gurney, Amanda Zavola, Chris Maples, Ash Thorpe, Anthony Alford, Jenny Lang, Iying or Lang, I'm not sure which, Kelly Turk, Spencer Caverly, Kristen Morales Lemieux, Michelle Joanning Zimmermeyer, Dylan Phillips, Sarah Lawrence, Kara Baker, Raina Gillespie, Kimbo Hoare, Sarah Bachman, Barchman, Chase Rutledge, Maddie Gann, Casey Edwards, Carissa Gardner, Lydia Alice Egan, Eric Vasquez, Alan, nope, that's Ann, Wallace, Carrie Reeves, Alex Hayes, Sarah Frank, Anthony Hoare, Jory Walker, Tyler Levensky, Andrea Hubbard, Jeremy Cornelius, and all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much for everything that you do for us, and especially all the Patreon people and the PayPal people. You guys are fucking amazing.
You're absolute heroes.
We really appreciate what you do for us, obviously, and we just hope that everything, all the bonuses and stuff, can make you feel good for doing that. So, it's a thank you for everything. So thank you for supporting us and for always supporting us and being there and making this a viable endeavor. And with getting grounded from the road for a year and a half, you guys kept us alive and you kept
food on my plate. Yeah. I can't thank you enough.
So thank you for keeping us alive. We really do appreciate that as human beings, that everybody's so supportive. Thanks for giving a shit.
Yes.
What if somebody gave a shit about you, Jimmie? How could you find out about that?
I'm on the internet. Are you guys on the internet?
Oh,
if you're on the internet, you can find me at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks. Where are you, James?
I am at Jimmie P is Funny, Or just the easy way would be to Google search the show, Small Town Murder, Google us up, and they'll tell you who's hosting it.
They'll show you.
And then there's got to be links in there. Or just go to shutupandgivememurder.com to purchase your ticket for the virtual live show.
Can't wait.
When you've done that, you click on the host part or whatever it is, and there's all the social media. You can find us on there.
See my dumb face.
You see our dumb faces, get the experience, and also then you can go look at the merch and the T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. It's all, see how it finger fucks itself in there?
It
It's
really
wonderful. And I love to hear that. Thanks for listening to a crazy episode this week. I hope you had as good a time as we did.
Yeah.
That said, until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.